and happy Sunday, and whatever time of day it may be. Welcome back to Forever Conscious Research channel. Just as a reminder, this channel is for educational purposes only. Today we are going to be getting into a pretty wild NDE. Then again, that happens a lot, right? So Michael here, born in Nigeria. It's nice to be able to get a case that is in a different location, maybe with a different belief system. You will hear him kind of go into the whole Jesus thing and God and all that stuff. But what's interesting about his experience is he talks about basically like going towards the moon and ending up in a different realm that is mountainous. It's got mountains, but everything is alive. And of course, he runs into his family, just like everything else. But there's like that cultural difference that you're going to see here as well at the beginning, which is fascinating. And he talks about how he was, hanging out with this butterfly, and then there was like a weird vehicle that he says he compares to an apple. I mean, very strange stuff. And ends up meeting his deceased father, deceased mother. They're laughing at him, and there's a little bit of trolling going on too, which we have seen in other cases. So let's jump right into this. And, is there anything else I want to say? Oh, yeah. Before we get started, anyone who was in the giveaway last week, I meant to say this last stream, please leave a comment after this stream. I am going to start trying to reach out to more of you. I know I was trying to do it last week, but a bunch of things came up. So just want to get in touch with each of you who did win in the giveaway stream last weekend, and get out your prizes and work on mailing those or emailing them. So, all right. Let's bounce into this and get rolling. Now, just to kind of give you a heads up, I do have, I'm trying to say, subtitles for the first one, and they're not the best. And the second one, I tried getting the subtitles, but it's horrible. The translation it's not even worth putting on screen. So, what we're going to do is get into this. There was some music at the beginning, so I'm just going to fast forward a little bit. This isn't your typical NDE interview, by the way. So I really want to make that clear. There are clearly things missing, which is unfortunate, because I think there would be a lot of really interesting information that we can get out of this case. But, it's not like he's being interviewed by an NDE channel. I don't know who the interviewer is, but he does his best. So just want to I know Benny Hinn. I know they played Benny Hinn music at the beginning apparently, and that's why I'm fast forward. I don't want to get I don't want to get zapped on that one. Speaking of which, one more thing that talk about infuriating. I'm sorry, this is just me kind of complaining to complain. So all of the interviews that I've done with Wayne, with the exception of one, and about 3 other commentaries. I think one of them was Harold's commentary, not his interview. Anyways, there was music that I used from YouTube's audio library. And the whole purpose of that is that it's copyright-free music. You can use it and blah, blah, blah. And I specifically used the ones that YouTube licensed allegedly forever. And I just got hit with loads and loads of copyright from this music that I've used. It's really frustrating. So there's my complaint for the day. And so let's get into this experience and see what happens. Yeah, I know. I don't know. I didn't know Benny Hinn had music either. What the fuck? All right, here we go.
Fine, thanks.
It's a pleasure to be here for you. And well, first of all, Michael, I heard that you were very sick in hospital. Could you tell us what happened?
March 25th, I had a sickness called brain aneurysm. It's a kind of blood that flows through the vein, and if the vein starts getting weak, it grows something like bubbles.
Okay.
And all of a sudden it can just break out.
Okay.
And the blood start running out from the veins. So it's very dangerous. I heard from the doctors that 95% of people that went through this kind of aneurysm doesn't have the chance of survival.
Okay, for some reason the subtitles aren't on here. Let me just see if I can get this in here. There we go.
Wow.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I'm sure most of you could probably understand what he's saying anyways, but he's talking about how, I think, was it 90% of the people who have brain aneurysms don't make it, or they're paralyzed and live a horrible life. Now, mind you, when he comes back, it's an amazing recovery, and we've seen that with other NDEs, so didn't want to go too far off track, but let's continue. And hopefully the subtitles will stay up for you.
Aneurysm doesn't have the chance of survival.
Wow, okay.
But thanks be to God that I survived it.
Indeed, yeah. Certainly a miracle.
Yeah, it's a big miracle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, of course, from your experience, what happened? I mean, where were you at that moment?
I was at home with a friend of mine. He's a priest. He's a musician like me. We were at my studio producing a gospel song. Okay. And all of a sudden I felt thirsty. And I wanted to drink something, and I went to the kitchen and picked up a glass of water. I came back, I was watching what he was doing on the at the computer, and all of a sudden I was gone. Just like that, without a warning. Before it happens, I didn't have headache or any kind of, because I used to have a blood pressure problem. Okay. But if my blood pressure goes up, I used to notice it. But this time, everything was normal, just like I'm talking with you right now. Okay. Yeah. Because aneurysm, it can happen in any part of the brain in the body. But the most dangerous one is the brain aneurysm, because in brain aneurysm, you don't have any warning. Okay. Yeah, it can just happen at any moment. So this just happened, and I lost conscious. Okay. And my friend noticed that something was wrong with me, and he tried to help me to put me to bed, and I stood up, and it was when I fell down on the floor, and I lost conscious.
On the so when you said that there were no signs there, did you beforehand experience any sensations that made you aware there was in any way a problem by that sort of headaches or some
when this happened, it was when I felt a striking headache, a very strong headache. Okay. It was like someone just put a kind of light up on your brain. Okay, yeah. You know, so I felt so much strong burning sensation in my brain, and I couldn't concentrate anymore.
And did this get worse over time? I mean, was it something that to begin with was just very sort of mild, and it got more severe, or
no? It just came all of a sudden. Okay. It was a sudden kind of feeling.
Okay. So, how long were you in the coma, roughly?
I was 5 weeks in the coma.
Okay. Yeah. And, of course, one important question is that, according to many near-death experiences, many people have said that they experienced a dark tunnel. For you, what did you what was this for you? How was this?
For me, I didn't remember seeing a dark tunnel. I just saw myself flying over the moon. You see just the smoke from the moon moving, and all of a sudden I came to a place that looks like it's like mountains surrounding. It was a very big, like, football field.
Okay.
But it was just mountain, and I saw a lot of things hanging on the air, like.
So it's interesting how he mentions the moon, right? And it's like, you think he said smoke. I guess smoke or fog, I guess you can say, which happens sometimes before things come into clarity if someone's having an experience. But really, really interesting and different than things we see. But I mean, what's the moon? It's a white light.
It's like mountains surrounding. It was a very big, like, football field.
Okay.
But it was just mountain, and I saw a lot of things hanging on the air, like trees, like animals, even some people wearing white. Everybody was just going in slow motion, even butterflies. It was so wonderful.
So another interesting thing is he's talking about how it's in slow-mo. And I've heard that before, and I think even like it's almost like a limbo state, if I had to guess what you can compare it to. It's like you're the in-between worlds, almost like a waiting room of sorts. It's like the holdover area before, you know, the Matrix decides what it's going to do with you.
Even butterflies, it was so wonderful. You see flowers, like in the garden, but everything was just hanging. There was no floor, but down you just see the moon. You see the moon. So I was trying to climb over on top of one of the mountain there. Okay. Because my heart says to me, if I could fly over and come on top so that I can stand on top of the mountain, because I believe that I was close to heaven. And my mind said, if I can climb over and stand there, I could see the gate of heaven. But I was trying so much to fly over, I couldn't. And I was flying from one end to another, from the left to the right, and it was so wonderful. And I felt so much peace. Everything was in harmony. The trees can speak. The butterflies can speak. And even the stones, the mountain, can talk. And
I mean, you know, he's in this realm where the butterflies are communicating with him. Everything can communicate telepathically. The mountains, the stones, everything, he's saying. And what kind of sticks out is with that child's NDE we went over. It's been a while. I don't even remember which one it was, but it might have been a members video, actually. I'm not sure. But anyways, in that case, or no, he saw... Anyways, he ends up going down... He said he went down the wrong tunnel. Like, the tunnel split, and one is where humans should go, and then the other is where animals would go. And he didn't really see many humans, so we got to put that out front. I mean, in this one, he says he sees humans, and they're wearing all white, and or at least human-esque type beings, humanoid beings, and but the child ran into, I believe, a bee and a flower and a butterfly, and it was communicating with him. And like the child, like flinging down the tunnel, like fell into a big, massive flower. But it's an interesting case. You know, if there's some sort of connection there, maybe, but kind of a loose one because of the other things that he saw that the child did not, which obviously everything's customized to the individual, but very, very interesting experience so far.
The trees can speak. The butterflies can speak. And even the stones, the mountain can talk. And everything has a sense of wisdom of God. They talk with a very big wisdom. And
so they're talking with big wisdom. I know I'm pausing again, but it's important to say this. It's okay. They're talking with big wisdom. So what does that kind of imply? If you just really strip it down, it really implies that, oh, they're these smart beings. They're filled with wisdom, and they know a little more than me. I mean, not saying that there's a difference in levels of wisdom. Obviously, that is the case, but it points, in my opinion, to the hierarchical type of thinking, right? Like, oh my God, such wisdom all around me, and so make of it what you will, but it screams hierarchy, in my opinion.
Wisdom of God. They talk with a very big wisdom. And when I was trying to climb over the mountain, the mountain speaks to me. He spoke to me and said, "Michael, what are you trying to do?" And I said, "I'm trying to fly over to stand on top of the mountain." And he said to me, "No, it's not possible."
So mind you, the mountain said this. The mountain.
On top of the mountain. And he said to me, "No, it's not possible. It's not meant for you." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Maybe you will understand later." And I look to my right side. I saw a group of people, like African people, like my mind told me these are my forefathers. They were singing in my local language, very strong, and was beating the drums, and they were so happy to see me. They were dancing and coming closer to me.
Okay, so here we go. We have the customization. It's familiar language, familiar surroundings, and they're dressed up like he would expect. I mean, it's textbook, like all these other NDEs, that everything is customized to the individual, but the outcome is always the same, and they end up back here.
My local language, very strong, and was beating the drums, and they were so happy to see me. They were dancing and.
So they're happy to see him. That's the welcome wagon that we see constantly too, right? I mean, it's like, oh, welcome home, happy to see you, laughing, having a good time.
Coming closer to me, and they were naked up and was wearing these kind of feathers, from the eagles and all that. And I came closer to them. All of a sudden, my dad came out from their back, from the group. He came out, he was laughing. I saw him and I said, "Dad," he said, "What are you doing here, son?" I said, "I don't know, I just find myself here." He said, "Well, these are your forefathers and they're so happy to welcome you." And he stretched out his hand and touched me on my shoulder. And immediately I changed into their costumes. Yeah, and I look exactly like my dad. We were looking like twins. And I said, "Oh, Dad, what did you just did?"
I mean, that's really strange. Really strange that they look identical, like twins. That is so freaking weird.
Change into their costumes. Yeah, and I look exactly like my dad. We were looking like twins. And I said, "Oh, Dad, what did you just did? I look like you." He said, "Yeah," he was laughing. And he touched me again on my shoulder, and I came back like how I was before. I changed back to how I was. And I looked to my right side again. I saw my mom standing a little bit far away with my auntie. Both of them are dead. And I can communicate with them through telepathy. They were just laughing. My mom was so happy to see me. But at the same time, I tried to reach out to her, to hug her. The more I come closer to her, the more far away she seems to be.
So he's trying to get closer to her, and we've seen this before. I mean, it's not something that appears all the time, but it pops up where someone is trying to get closer to either their deceased family member or Jesus or God, quote unquote God, whoever. And they keep distancing themselves back and back and back. And sometimes we even see where they have red eyes. That's not the case in this NDE, but it's like a trolling. It really is, because it's like, what does he want to do? Michael wants to see his mom. You know, he wants to get closer to her and maybe get a better picture. And he thinks he's fairly close to her, but every time he tries to get closer, she ends up farther away. And she's laughing. And Dad was laughing earlier too. It to me, this has got to be some textbook trolling. It does. I mean, I can't see it any other way. It's almost like, ha ha ha, you're falling for it type deal. Does not sit well with me.
They were just laughing. My mom was so happy to see me. But
see, like, he pads it. He's like, they were so happy to see me, but they were just laughing. And then she's playing games like, you can't get close to me. I mean, Christ, the guy just died. Not really, but
they were just laughing. My mom was so happy to see me. But at the same time, I tried to reach out to her, to hug her. The more I come closer to her, the more far away she seems to be. Okay. So I couldn't get to where she was standing. But she seemed so close, but I couldn't get to her.
Okay.
So she said, no, it's not allowed for me to come to her.
Okay.
Yeah. And she asked me, where are your kids? Where is your wife? I said, they're at home. And she said, you have to go back. It's not yet your time. You have to go down and take care of your kids because they are...
Well, what a surprise. Well. Mom's not letting him get close, and then you've got to go back. Where are your kids? Where's your wife? You got to get back down there. What are you doing, son? That's really, I mean, what it's like a holdup, something.
No, it's not allowed for me to come to her.
Okay.
Yeah. And she asked me, where are your kids? Where is your wife? I said, they're at home. And she said, you have to go back. It's not yet your time. You have to go down and take care of your kids because they are too small.
Of course, the question that we're going to get to is, would you say this was for you heaven?
For me, it was a paradise. Just a tip of an iceberg. How paradise might look like.
Okay.
Because there's this peace you cannot find on earth. Everything was so light. And if you find yourself there, you don't want to be anywhere else.
Okay, so that's another thing we hear constantly. He didn't say it's like home, but it's what a piece of heaven would be like if it was, or if it is. And that's what he connects with. And he says you can't compare it to anything on earth. I mean, he's basically saying the same things that other people say.
It was so light. And if you find yourself there, you don't want to be anywhere else. And everything respects each other. The animals, the trees, the stones, every creature respect each other, and they worship God. And all of them have the striking wisdom of God. When they talk with you, they talk with authority, and they communicate through telepathy. Yeah. And as I was saying, when I turned back, because I didn't want to go down, because it was so wonderful. When I turned back and I saw my father-in-law, he was in a car. This car looks like, it looks like an apple. The curve looks like an apple. It looks like something you can bite.
Okay, yeah.
It was so wonderful, and it doesn't have tires, but it's just flying.
Okay, yeah.
It flies in slow motion and came in front of me.
Yeah.
I looked inside, and there was no driver. And all of a sudden, from the back, my father-in-law wind the screen down, and I saw it was him. And he even spoke to me in German. and said, Michael, was tust du hier?
Okay, yeah.
Was suchst du hier? Wo ist deine Frau? Wo ist deine Kinder?
And
I mean, how weird is that? It's like a flying Apple car. There's no driver, and then the windows roll down, and it's the father-in-law. I mean, talk about weird. Weird. I can honestly say I've never heard that one. So let's just listen a little bit more about this.
German, and said, Michael, was tust du hier?
okay, yeah.
Was suchst du hier? Wo ist deine Frau? Wo ist deine Kinder? And he said, like, Michael, what are you doing here?
Okay.
Where is your wife and your children? You have to go down.
Yeah.
He said, Abadali. He said,
So again, like, you know, here we go. More reinforcement from the welcome wagon saying, Michael, what the hell are you doing here? You've got to get back to Earth. You've got things to do. And in the second segment of this, we'll hear some interesting things from him about when he came back and what he feels all that is about. Maybe, I guess you could call it purpose.
Wo ist deine Frau? Wo ist deine Kinder? And he said, like, Michael, what are you doing here?
Okay.
Where is your wife and your children? You have to go down.
Yeah.
He said, Abadali. He said, but immediately, go down immediately. As he was talking with me, he was talking with someone else on the phone at the same time. So I couldn't even say anything. So this was when I decided to go down. But before I went down, a butterfly came in a slow motion, very big, beautiful butterfly. Came in slow motion and came in front of me and called me by my name and said, Michael, what are you doing here? And everybody was asking me about my wife and my children. This was the first question everybody was asking. And he said to me I should look by the left side. I looked by the left side. I saw 2 boxes, 7 boxes hanging on the air.
Okay, so when you hear this, this is a stretch because there's no way to say for certain that this is what it represents, but part of me kind of feels it does. We went over an NDE maybe about a month ago, and the person talked about how as they were quote unquote dying, their 6 fragments came out of them. I don't remember if they described the shape, and it was very clear in that NDE that that the Matrix was extracting the life script from them and processing it, so to say, to use it against them. And remember, every single minute of every single second of every single day is recorded, and the Matrix has access to that information. So when you die or have an NDE or some sort of massive experience like a breakthrough trip that is similar to an NDE or a shared death experience sometimes, and on, you can, you have this life script. And I think what the Matrix does is it analyzes it. And so what he's describing here is that there's 7 boxes. And he'll go on to explain how they represent years, 5 or 10 years, but even he says he's not sure, but that's what he feels they are. So to me, it feels like they're his fragments, kind of like what we saw in that NDE about a month ago. Really, really interesting stuff. Again, can't say for certain that's what it's representing, but on a hunch, I'd say I'd lean more towards yes, probably 75%.
What are you doing here? And everybody was asking me about my wife and my children.
And I'm sorry to interrupt again, but asking about the wife and the children, what that does is it gets his attention on that matter. It's about distracting him and getting him to pay attention to his life back on Earth. I mean, that's a whole nother thing that we see constantly, over and over and over again. And then most of the time, those moments, as soon as the person is kind of putting their attention or intention towards something back on Earth, it's boom, they end up right back in their body.
was the first question everybody was asking. And he said to me I should look by the left side. I looked by the left side. I saw 2 boxes, 7 boxes hanging on the air. And he said I should count them and tell him how many they are. I counted the boxes and I said to him the boxes are 7. And he said, open number 4. I took the number 4 and opened it. I didn't see anything. He said, what did you see? I said, nothing. He said, close it and put it back. I closed it and put it back. He said to me, these 7 boxes are your lifespan, but you have to be careful because you are on number 4. You're now on number 4. You have to go back. He said I should look down on earth. I looked on earth. I saw the street. I saw that everywhere was snow. Everywhere it was just white on the street. He said he said, what did you see? I said, nothing. I just see snow. He said, look very well again. And I look, and it seems like it was zoomed closer to my eyes. And I saw some black spots on the street, on the top of the snow. It seems like horses were just riding over the snow. And he said, what did you see? I said, I see black spots, little black spots that are on top of the snow. He said, these black spots are your way. You have to go down and clean them. Otherwise, you cannot fly more up.
Okay, so this is just textbook matrix manipulation at its finest. I mean, come on. You've got to go back down there. See that? This is why, the horse hooves in the snow. You've got to get back down there and get your shit together. I mean, come on. It just is, it gets so ridiculous. And it's doing everything in its power to distract him and get his attention to his earthly body. I mean, and they're rolling out all of the stops. I mean, part of me wonders, of course, there is a memory wipe component with near-death experiences. How much each person experiences that is up for debate, but it does occur. And so you have to ask yourself, well, if that's the case, like, it seems like maybe, just a guess, that maybe he put up a fight. Maybe not a fight, but like, he was adamant about not going back, because it seems like it really had to roll out the stops for him. Like, he had to go through family and mountains and butterflies and the father-in-law, the mother, the father. I mean, really, normally there isn't this much involvement, but you also have to take into account that he was in a coma for 5 weeks. So it's a totally, that throws a wrench into things, that, he's out there much longer than the typical near-death experience, which could just be a few minutes in Earth time, or maybe 10 minutes, something like that. So it's a little different than the normal cases.
So this is when I noticed why it was not possible for me to fly over the mountain so that I can see the landscape.
The paradise.
The paradise.
That was ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So it was not allowed. And there was many people that was flying around that place I was. So my mind said to me, it might be that people that is not yet their time to also fly over. So, and...
Okay, so he's saying, he sees other beings and they're kind of stuck there and not able to fly over, and associates it with being similar to him, and how they are, it's not their time yet. So that's an interesting comparison or thought, and it makes a lot of sense.
Not yet their time to also fly over. So, and he said to me, okay, you can go down now. This was when I started flying down again. Okay.
The interesting thing about the boxes, when you said, what would you think the boxes portrayed in your mind? 7 boxes, perhaps something like in your life you have 7 stages. They say, of course, in 7 stages of man.
Yeah.
do you believe maybe in some way the boxes portrayed something like this is the fourth stage in your life at the moment? Or, I mean, for you, what do you...
For me, I understand that before God creates a human being, it's written already how long he will stay on earth. Yeah, these 7 boxes can mean, over there, I noticed that there's no time in the spiritual world. It's not, there's no years, days.
Okay, sorry to interrupt again, but this is another important moment because he's basically talking about how everything is planned, which goes to the life script. Seeking, I'd love to hear more. Maybe we can arrange the time to talk. You think she'd be willing to talk to you? Or talk to me? Talk to us together?
I understand that before God creates a human being, it's written already how long he will stay on earth. Yeah, these 7 boxes can mean, over there, I noticed that there's no time in the spiritual world. It's not, there's no years, days, weeks.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so these 7 boxes can be 1 year, it can be, each box can be 5 years,
Okay.
it can be 10 years, I don't know. It can also be that one box is the, what God wants me to do on earth. It can be that I have not done all of them. It can be also what it means.
So, life script. Life script, life script, life script. It screams it.
That I'm in number 4, but there are still some certain things God still wants to use me to do on earth. That's why.
Yeah, they want to use you, all right. They use all of us.
God still wants to use me to do on earth. That's why I have the second chance to come back to life.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you talk about time. Time was of no. There was no sort of awareness of time.
There's no awareness of time. Actually, when I woke up in the hospital, I was thinking I just have a snap.
Okay.
And a nap. It's a nap, right?
Yes, a nap, yeah.
A nap.
Right, yeah.
I was thinking I just had a nap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking maximum it should be 1 night. But my wife told me it's 5 weeks.
Well, it's so obviously, yeah, it was clearly, yeah, very. That's obviously clear. The experience you had. Do you think it had something to do with your Christian belief as a?
I don't think so, personally.
Okay, so big moment here, right? I mean, so it seems clear, at least if we have to go based on the conversation, right, that he did have some sort of Christian belief system before the near-death experience. But the way it played out is very, very different. And it shows, like he talked about, it shows almost like the tribal persona, with the eagle feathers and all that stuff. So it really seems that it could be based maybe on things he heard as a child, or maybe local history, local lore, local spiritual concepts. And then it's also, maybe slightly based on his religious convictions too. But the problem is we really only get little bits and pieces of the information. I would love to sit down with this guy and talk to him. But it's just it's different. This is, when you have someone who knows about near-death experiences, like all these other channels out there who interview people, it's different. They're most likely going to ask an important question because they already know the topic, but you can tell there's kind of a lack of knowledge or just not what we're used to. So it's just different.
Your Christian belief as a...
Oops, sorry.
I don't think so, personally, because God can reveal himself to anyone, even to unbelievers. And God is merciful. He loves his creatures. He loves every human being, and every human being has a chance. He has a special love for everyone, even non-Christians.
Bruh.
God loves them, and he chooses us. We don't choose him. He chooses us. So he knows what he still wants me to do on earth, and that's why he sent me back. I don't think it has anything to do with my Christian believing.
Okay. From the experience, obviously we talk about the consciousness, and it's clear that in modern day beliefs, from what you're saying, that the consciousness is in another way linked with the soul. How real was it for you? How real did it feel? Like we're talking now. Can you explain to us how?
For me, I was with my full 100%, 120% conscious.
Okay.
Yeah,
120% conscious.
I was with my full 100%, 120% conscious.
Okay.
Yeah, I was not. It was not like a dream. It was like real, because
And that's what we hear all the time with NDEs, is more real than real. It was the, that he didn't say it's the most real thing ever, but you get the point. He's stressing that it's real. It's what happened to him.
Yeah, I was not. It was not like a dream. It was like real, because I've been dreaming since I was a child. I know how dreams look like.
Exactly.
But this was just like how I'm talking with you, with all the awareness and consciousness. And I was conscious of what is happening around me. I was conscious of everything that was happening. And that's why it's still on my memory, like what just happened yesterday. Because if it's a dream, sometimes you wake up and you even forgot what you dreamed.
Yeah.
But this was like,
Yeah, that's the memory wipe. That's the memory wipe. And it exists in NDEs too. Seen it way too many times for it not to be a cause for concern. And I was just having a conversation, I think, with Benny in the comment section earlier today about the memory wipe. And that's the issue. It's like we go to bed every night, we dream, and even if you remember your dreams, they disappear in 10, 20 minutes, maybe a half hour at the most, unless you're writing them down, what happened. And the same thing goes with just standard memories, right? While you're here, try remembering back to your childhood. Try remembering back to sometimes even a few years ago. Like this stuff just falls off to who knows where, and it goes to the horrible, pathetic design that is the human body. And there is no doubt about it in my mind that everything it's all planned. It's by design. It's supposed to happen that way so that we are not as lucid and consciously aware of everything. I mean, think about it. We're these amazing, powerful creator beings. That's a fact. We all are. But the problem is we've been shoved into this meat suit and have this horrible processing power, I guess you can say, in this body. And, with the exception of maybe 0.001%, like the real wild ones out there who can remember all sorts of parts of their lives, they can recall like what day of the week it was if you throw them a date, 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago, and they can remember everything they did that day. Really impressive stuff. Actually, one person out there who has that is Mary Lou Henner. She was an actress on Taxi. And then there's some other cases out there. Really, really interesting stuff. But I mean, I think when I was looking into it, it was very, very small percent of the population. I'm talking ridiculously small, like a few handfuls in the world. But don't quote me on that. I'm sure that number may have changed. The point is even them, when they have access to all of that, they may have some recollection of a past life, but they're still clouded. They're still clouded. So you can come here and have that amazing ability, that trait that was part of your life script to remember all this stuff that happened in your life. But the majority of us don't have it. And even then, you're still blocked off, even if you do get that ability. So really sit on that and think about it, because it says a lot. It says a lot. And here we are in this human meat suit with the most limited processing power, limited perception, and if you can't see how everything plays a role, it's not just one thing, it's everything. If it was just me sitting here saying, oh, it's just all about NDEs or it's all about this, no, it's everything in combination that is the human experience and what's going on in the astral that's related to this realm. It all fits too perfectly. And that's why, like, anyone who's new to the topic or kind of on the fence, just keep researching, keep listening, get out there and check out Wayne's website and Dan's channel. The information we're putting there's a bunch of stuff out there. And it's really about the big picture. Like, you have to see how it's represented in music and books and TV and movies and all sorts of different religions or ancient scriptures, ancient texts, whatever you want to call them. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And then you add all the data we have with experiencer cases, and it's like, okay, all right, it all comes together way better than it should. And it presents an outline for just what the hell is going on here. And that's that we're all being deceived on a mass scale. Does that mean you can't get out and you have no power over this? No, it just means that, okay, yeah, we fell for some BS. And it's time for us to reclaim our true essence through non-interference, which is shielding, sovereignty, liberation, making sure that nothing can interfere with you, creating your own realm that's impenetrable and incapable of being infiltrated. This is like, it's so important. This is the last thing we want to ever screw up. Because the problem is if you don't get yourself out by your own intention, by your own doing as a creator being, then you're going to end up back here and you're going to be memory wiped. And who knows how many lifetimes of suffering that you'll have to go through. And even if you don't end up in this realm, you're still a cog in the wheel of the matrix somewhere. And eventually they're going to plop you down somewhere. If it's not on the earth realm, it could be another physical realm. It could be another realm of suffering. It could be way worse. Hard to imagine, right? But it very well likely exists. So it's time for us to reclaim our true essence and put our foot down and say, enough is enough. So if you're new or on the fence, just hang in there with me. Just hang in there. I promise, if you just give it a year or two of dedicated research and listening, I promise you will come away seeing what's being said on this channel. I promise you. But it just takes time, and that's why my videos are so long. And I'm sorry for that, but it's all about reading between the lines. And there's these small little details that every single experiencer will say, and they're massive because they give away the deception. This system is not perfect. It's pretty damn good at what it does, but it's not perfect. And because they fragment memories and throw all this stuff at each experiencer, we can dissect each one and see the grand deception. And NDEs is just one component of it, my friends. One component. There are over 20 now, 20 different topics and subtopics that link in, most through experiencers. Most of them are through experiencer cases, but there's all sorts of different experiencer cases that are not NDEs. And they all start to show how this is one big, massive, cooked up deception. And that all that matters is that we take care of ourselves as an individual. There's no reason to worry about anyone else unless you think you can get through to them. But at the end of the day, when everything's kind of thrown to the wayside and you get to your core, it's about you. Now, we all want to help our friends and family and sadly our pets, but it's not always going to be possible. But that's okay. We got to do what we got to do. And I think everyone in time, no matter how many lifetimes it takes, will eventually get themselves out of this mess.
What happened yesterday? It was the awareness and consciousness. Mm-hmm. And I was conscious of what is happening around me. I was conscious of everything that was happening. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's still on my memory, like what just happened yesterday. Mm-hmm. Because if it's a dream, sometimes you wake up and you even forgot what you dreamt.
Yeah.
But this was like real, what really happened. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's interesting, yeah. Because it's true, yeah, so many of us do dream, and it seems only 5% real in its ways. So it's interesting. Yeah. It's very interesting to hear that.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what can we learn from your experience?
What I want people to learn from my experience, mm-hmm. and what I have learned from my experience, is that life is precious. Life is a gift from God, and we should not try to put...
No, God, please, no! 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 No!
We should not try to put so much of our mind and energy into material things. Mm-hmm. This life we are living, all of us are just like passengers traveling somewhere. It's a journey. Life is a journey. Mm-hmm. But many people will drop earlier and many people will drop out later. But it's a matter of how long your journey is. Mm-hmm. Yeah?
Like a coach journey.
It can be short. Yeah. It can be short. Even 1 minute, 1 second mm-hmm. is too long for someone to lose his life. Mm-hmm. 1 second. Yeah? People should really try to give their life to Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. People should try to be more happy, mm-hmm. think positive, love and respect every creature of God. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Before this happened, I didn't actually value different things like I was not aware of the trees and of the butterflies and all that. I know they are beautiful, mm-hmm. but now I have so much respect because even those creatures we don't see, they respect their creator. Mm-hmm. They respect God. Mm-hmm. Only human being that walks away from God, mm-hmm. from their creator. But these animals,
okay, so there,
creatures we don't see, they respect their creator. Mm-hmm.
They respect their creators. They respect. So what is that? Again, it's the hierarchical system. They respect. Hey, it's God, it's the creator, it's whoever. It's the chain of custody, the pyramid scheme that's going on. And, well, what does that do? Robs you, boom, right there of your sovereignty. Takes you away. And what happens is that we learn these things while we're here. And I often say it's like the continuity of familiarity. So what you experience here is experienced over there. And it's the perfect shitstorm to get sucked into because, you're just coming out of a human body, right? You're coming out of this wacky experience. You've learned a bunch of things while you were here, or not necessarily learned, but were indoctrinated with a bunch of things while you were here. And then what it does is it carries itself over and continues to prey on you unless you stand up for yourself.
They respect God. Mm-hmm. Only human being that walks away from God, mm-hmm. from their creator. But these animals and even the trees, the mountains, mm-hmm. they still have their spiritual being, mm-hmm. because the love, God created the world with his love, mm-hmm. and his love is in everything he created. Okay. It's just like you, if you're a painter, mm-hmm. you paint. people come and watch your paintings, they might see the message and even how you feel when you were painting. The love, your energy of that creating to paint, it's on your works.
Yeah.
And people can see it. So that's why if you want to see the energy of God, you want to see his love, you see it from the things he created.
From the things he created. All right. Well, let's just be honest with each other then, Michael. The things he's created a realm like this. He's created a human body, the animal kingdom, which is part of the dog-eat-dog world. That involves suffering and pain and famine and murder and war and starvation, malnutrition, lack of water, germs, I guess you can say. A very, let's be honest here. Like, it's not just the human body, it's the animal kingdom too, right? And everything is set up in a way for pain. I mean, these bodies it's not like they're these durable, amazing avatars here. We're dealing with a pathetic. I mean, how easy is it for us to break our bones? How easy is it for you to bust your ass and hurt yourself and be out of work for weeks? I mean, anything, all sorts of different scenarios can present themselves during your life, not just for us, but in the animal kingdom. So, I'm sorry. I'm not going to be respecting so-called God and its creation, because you know what? It failed. It failed miserably. And like to say this is an absentee God, and it's not a God. It's an AI parasite that's causing all sorts of hell and deceiving the shit out of everybody. And it's just time we say enough is enough.
Your energy of that creating to paint, it's on your works.
Yeah.
And people can see it. So that's why if you want to see the energy of God, you want to see his love, you see it from the things he created. So now I see life in a different perspective. Yeah, and people should try as much as possible to live a simple life and to live in the light.
Oh, okay. So, he's right about living in a simple life, but to live in the light, no. And no. But simple life, I think, is definitely beneficial for all of us. Like, if you're living in excess and need this and need that and need, all that stuff, like, you become more attached. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a horrible thing, but as long as you can detach from all that stuff and you're not clinging to it or feel like you need this or you need that, like, everyone just wants, I think living with basic necessities is what it's all about. Like, you want a place to live, you want heat, you want air conditioning, you want electricity, you want a refrigerator, you want to be able to stock your fridge and whatever else you need to do. All right. But it's the excess that gets us in trouble. And that slings right back around to the whole materialistic culture that we've been pushed on or, thrown on us. So, yeah.
Perspective. Yeah. And people should try as much as possible to live a simple life and to live in the light. Show more love, to even try, the most important thing, to forgive, to be able to forgive. Because the butterfly said to me, those black spots are your ways, and unless you go down to clean them, you cannot go more up.
Okay, so what is that? That's the whole karma thing. That's the fear, guilt, shame matrix in our face. It's so obvious, right? I mean, and it's like, oh, see that? You've got to go down and fix that. This is the same crap we hear all the time. You have a mission, you have this, you have that to do. And, you know, you've got to right your wrongs. You've got to fix your karma and your sinning and whatever term you want to use. And it's the same thing all the time. And the question everyone should ask is, who are they to be telling us about how we should be running our lives, or how we should be doing this and doing that? You know, I'm sorry. I'm going to say it flat out. I know some people, there's a group out there that don't like when I say this, but I'm going to say it. Forgiveness has to be earned, right? Like if you're violated or something horrible happens to you, you're neglected on a mass scale, especially if you're as a child. Do you really feel that you need to seek out forgiveness, or give forgiveness to an abuser if they don't give a shit? Now, look, I guess you can say it would be different if the abuser came and actively seeked you out, changed over the course of their life since the offense or whatever, and said, you know, look, I'm really sorry. You know, I know when you were a child, this wasn't good. And, you know, you were in a bad situation, this and that, whatever the case may be. Abusive relationships, you pick it. Okay. It doesn't matter. You know, if the person themselves is seeking out forgiveness and they know how to get in touch with you. All right. And even if it's really eating on their mind, don't you think they go out of the way to find you anyways and try and make amends? The sad truth is that most people don't do that. So do you really need to forgive someone for them violating you? That's bullshit. I'm sorry. This is where common sense has to come in. And I know we live in this society where, like, you know, forgiveness and this and that is this, that. Well, in some cases, forgiveness is not warranted. Forgiveness is not earned. And that, I'm sorry, that's my opinion on it. And it's just a whole nother attachment. Now, with that being said, if it's something that, you know, remember, you all know yourselves better than anyone else. So if it is something that you feel you need to resolve for your own well-being, your own peace of mind, to get that attachment off of you, then by all means do it. Because I think it's important that we do resolve things that are, you know, hang-ups and traumas and things like that while we're here. Get it out of the way so you don't have to be rushing to do it when you're on your deathbed. So, you know, it really boils down to the individual. But if you feel that you need to seek forgiveness or grant forgiveness, whatever the case may be, for someone that may have hurt you or things you've done, like, yeah, you should do it to others because you want to, because it's the right thing to do. But a lot of times those who offend against you, they don't care. They don't care. They're living their life, doing their thing, and that's it. There are probably, you know, there of course are exceptions, but you know, you get my point.
The butterfly said to me, those black spots are your ways, and unless you go down to clean them, you cannot go more.
Yeah, exactly. AA said it right. Forgive and forget. Yeah, I mean, just forget. You know, like, I mean, the point is if someone, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt again, but if something occurs, then it should, you know, forgiveness goes both ways, right? It's up to whoever, like, say you got beat up or something, in, you know, your 20s or something at a bar by someone who's like your good friend, and then you never talk again or something. All right. Well, you know, it doesn't mean that you have to continue talking to them, and maybe the relationship's severed or something. But, you know, if they're not calling you up and trying to excuse me, I'm sorry, actively seek out forgiveness, then there's no reason for you to go do it. But, you know, in your head, you just say, okay, I'm moving on. I know what to do for myself. Again, it's really situational. It depends on the individual. But thank you for sharing that, AA.
Try the most important thing to forgive, to be able to forgive, because the butterfly said to me, those black spots are your ways, and unless you go down to clean them, you cannot go more up.
Go clean that karma.
And those black spots he meant was like the people I don't talk with, the people I was not in good terms with, the people I offended and the people that offended me. The most important things that prevent people to make it to heaven, even the people that live a good life on earth, the most important thing that prevents them to make it to heaven is to have grudges. Even it's a human nature. If you get hurt once, the scars are still somewhere in your heart or in your soul. And anytime you see this person that offends you, it reminds you of what he did, even if it's 20 years ago. So it takes the divine, the grace of God for a human being to be able to forgive and forget. Because God, we are all sinners. If God forgives us, he forgives totally and forgets. Yeah, but human being can forgive and will not forget, and this is not total forgiveness. So what I'm talking about here is total forgiveness, to forgive and to be able to forget, and it needs the grace of God. You as a human nature, you cannot do it. So I beg everyone, if you are praying, pray, ask God to give you the grace to be able to forgive, because this is the only thing that can hold you down. And if you cannot be able to forgive, you cannot make it to heaven, because it's even said on our Lord's Prayer, yeah, forgive us our sins as we forgive those who offended us. So immediately you forgive your fellow human being, God is forgiving you automatically your sins.
God. So again, it's this external reach that God is something that you need to pony up to and repent and forgive, and whatever the case may be. It's, again, always looking to the external, not the internal, not the true you, not you as a single creator being within, let's just, for lack of a better word, say the multiverse, right? Everything. I mean, think about just how many BS narratives are out there in this matrix realm that we live in. And what's one of the biggest? One of the biggest by far is God. Okay? That's one. Number two, you can go to the flip side and say, and bring up atheism. Either way, you funnel yourself into those two paradigms, religions, God, atheism, whatever. You funnel yourself into those things, you're automatically, by default, giving your entire essence away. Now, the question becomes is like, okay, even if all this stuff that we're talking about is wrong, and I really don't think it is, I think there's a lot to support all this, and it speaks for itself. But if, let's say, we're wrong, then the doubters out there, or even just anyone, like, I don't pretend to have all the answers, but the one thing I will say is, like, okay, what I am going to try to do is reclaim my essence, all my memories, my sovereignty, liberate myself completely out of the matrix, and see what the heck happens. What is wrong with that approach? There's nothing wrong with it. But the whole God thing, is a real big hang up. But what is it? That's something we're taught here. It's pushed everywhere. And if you fall into the atheism box, you're even more screwed, because you don't even have like a spiritual compass to go off of. So it's almost like you have no hope of kind of questioning this reality deeper. At least if you're religious, you do have some sort of spiritual core in you, and perhaps you may break that indoctrination. But, Still very difficult, but those two things are massive here, and they're pushed for a reason, to rob you of your individuality.
That's very true. Yeah, I think certainly. To it's important to forgive, and you're right. If you can't forget, very wise, very true words in that yes.
You know, some people say to me, but this person was not nice, and this person betrayed me. You can forgive this person, but it's not necessary to be friends again. Those ones that bring you to a danger, you can distance yourself from them. But let them know you are forgiving them for offending you. And those ones you offended, make sure you reach out to them and ask for forgiveness. It's very, very, very important.
And obviously, you're right. And to forget is to completely forgive.
To forget is to completely forgive.
I think one thing that many people have a very hard time with is the forgetting part.
To forget the part.
I agree. It's
the forgetting part. Yeah.
Right, and to forget is to completely forgive.
To forget is to completely forgive.
I think one thing that many
and that's really what it boils down to, right? Like you're by being able to come to terms with it, or if you feel that you need forgiveness from someone else, or you need to provide forgiveness to another for something you've done wrong, if that's what you need to do to clear your conscience, so to say, and move along, then by all means go for it. But it's important, again, that you know yourself better than anyone else, and you got to do what's right for you in your specific state of mind. The last thing you want are attachments on your deathbed or leading up to your death. It's just completely unnecessary. That all that stuff should there's no excuse not to resolve that now or in the next few weeks, months, years ahead, and come to terms with it and wash it out of you. Whatever those big things are that are sticking out and keeping you attached or concerned or worried or what have you, just take care of them now. So that way, later down the road, it's one less thing you got to deal with.
Many people have a very hard time with is the forgetting part.
To forget the part.
I agree. It's you told me before that when you woke up from the coma, that you, or just before, was it before or exactly before you woke up, you visited your wife in a dream, or?
Yeah, it was before I woke up. It was before I woke up because there was one thing that happened. My wife, I used to have an argument with her if she start complaining that I don't say to her, I love you. It's very, very important to say to your loved one, I love you. To your kids, to your wife, always say it with no reason. Because when it's too late, you will feel, in the spiritual, when I was in this other life, when I was in coma, I felt sorrow.
Okay.
I said to you before, there's a difference between sadness and angry, but there's also something called sorrow. Sorrow is even deeper than being angry. It's deeper than being sad. And I think sorrow is what the spirit feels. But sadness is a human nature, and angry is also physical human. It's a reaction of physical, being angry. But sorrow is something to do with the spirit. The spirit feels sorrow. So I was so sad that I didn't tell my wife so much how much I love her. And I remembered in my consciousness that I used to argue with her that I don't say it more often. So my wish was to be able to come back and say to her, I love you. Yeah? And sometimes I even hear her crying, because she used to come to my hospital bed when I was in coma. She hold my hands and start crying and praying. And anytime she's there, I can see her in the spiritual way. And sometimes my ear opens and I hear her voice crying. but I didn't know where the voice was coming from, but it was so loud. And she was crying and said, please come back to me now. I cannot handle my life without you. And I noticed that when somebody is in coma, it's very important that someone he loves, like his wife or his kids, should come to his ears and talk nice things, because he is still hearing it. Or play a nice music that he loves, he will hear it, and this is what will put his spirit in peace.
Okay.
Yeah. And even my wife told me that the doctors asked her to bring one of my favorite shoes. And she brought, there's a Timberland shoe that I have since 5 years ago. Sometimes they put it on my leg, and sometimes they remove it again. Sometimes they put it back again. It's just to that the body feels like, oh, this is mine. You know, so those things I really believe that they work. If somebody is in coma, people should stay calm and talk to the person. Send him a nice energy.
100% agree. Everything I've looked at regarding comas, you know, they can come in and out of our world. They can go spend a bunch of time in the astral, but then they may have 1 foot in this world and 1 foot in the astral, or they may be, you know, completely present, but, you know, not capable of saying something or responding in a way that would give the family and hospital staff comfort. So yeah, if you do ever end up with someone your friend or your family, whoever, in a coma, just know that if they're still hanging around, they're most likely going to be able to hear you at some point. Maybe not all the time, but it's important to comfort them and let them know that you're there and that you care about them.
Because spiritually, even the dead ones, if you send a nice thought, he can get the message wherever he is. And sometimes they also send nice thoughts to us.
So it also, I heard that 3 days after you woke up from the coma, something happened in your hospital room. Can you tell us about that?
What happened was, I was in my room, and all of a sudden my hospital bed started going up and down, moving up and down.
Now this part is really interesting, so just hear it out.
I was in my room, and all of a sudden my hospital bed started going up and down, moving up and down, and nobody pressed any button, nobody did anything. And I pressed the button to call the nurses, and they came in and the bed stopped moving.
Okay.
And I said to them, my bed is going up and down.
Yeah.
They started laughing and said, oh, it might be the tablets and the infusion that you have on your brain. Sometimes you feel like something is moving.
Yeah.
I always blame it on the medication. Always.
They started laughing and said, oh, it might be the tablets and the infusion that you have on your brain. Sometimes you feel like something is moving. That this is normal. I said, no. I noticed that my bed is going up and down. They didn't believe me. So they said, okay, if it goes up and down again, call us. Okay. So they were about to move out from the room. The bed started going up and down in front of them. Okay. Yeah. And I started laughing this time. And they were so scared that they have to run out and call the doctors. Okay. And they came and tried to press the button that the bed should stop, and it didn't stop. Okay. They had to go and unplug it from the socket. Okay. Then it stopped. And it stopped then. And they have to change the bed immediately for me, and they brought another bed. Okay. And at this moment, I know that it was the spirit from my mom. My mom was giving me a sign that she knows that I made it, that I came back. Yeah. And one of the nurses said to me, "Are you not scared that your bed is moving up and down?" I said, "Why should I be scared? I'm just coming back from the dead. So why should I be scared?"
So you say it was sort of a celebration to say, you know.
Yeah, it was sort of celebration because the spirit talks with us in different kind of ways. Yeah, they have to make that you notice that they are around.
Yeah.
And at this time I had so much protection. Even after I woke up from the coma, sometimes my ear opens and I still hear the sounds from the spiritual world. So because my consciousness was still connected from where I was coming from.
Okay.
You know?
And that's exactly what I was talking about, how they can have 1 foot in this world and 1 foot in the astral. So in this case, he's talking about how he heard the music. What's also interesting is that he says that the bed moving was his mom, and also had witnesses in the hospital who saw it and verified it that could make no sense of it, and they go and call the doctor. Doctor, the bed is moving on its own.
So that's clear. It was kind of, in a way, it was see you later, not yet. Then in a way,
Yeah, kind of.
You know, yeah, a good sort of. It was good to see you, but
Yeah.
we'll see you soon, but
Yeah.
not yet.
Not yet.
That's okay. So do you think that you came back for a reason?
Okay, so what we are going to do is take a brief break for about 5 minutes and come right back. There is a really interesting part 2, so please hang around. It's well worth your time, and I will see you shortly. We're going to hear him talk about purpose right at the beginning of part 2, and it's fairly in line with other NDEs that we've heard. So hang in there with me. I will see you shortly, and thank you again for hanging out today. Be right back. friends. We're going to be coming back now. Just as a reminder, this channel is for educational purposes only. Okay, so before we move along, there's a really interesting part 2. I want to make everyone aware that I will at least once a month, starting in December, or maybe even the end of this month, I will be doing one exclusive live stream on Odysee. So it won't be on YouTube. So if you're interested in those streams, you may want to head to the description tab and sign up for an Odysee account. There is an invite link there. I just feel that, there's a lot of weird stuff going on here, and to kind of continue to spread the message, kind of got to branch out and not just always have everything on here on YouTube. So I'd like to invite you over to Odysee and Rumble, where Rumble I'll be doing the same thing and doing exclusive streams there at some point as well. But Odysee is something I'll be doing at least once a month going forward, starting in December, possibly at the end of this month too. And I'd love to have you there. The other thing is the channel does have an email list. It's a great way for us to stay in touch with one another. And you can find that. And so far I've had the email list, I don't know, about 3 months actually, and haven't sent out one email. I'm not the type of person who's going to bombard you with emails, and I will never, ever, ever sell your data. So if you'd like to stay in touch with the channel and get updates about the future website, please consider signing up for the email list. I'd greatly appreciate it. There's also a Twitter and an Instagram, 2 YouTube backup channels. On Twitter and Instagram, I also provide notifications, because notifications are another issue that happens on YouTube where some people don't get them. And so on Instagram and Twitter, I usually will put out a notification about an hour before the stream, sometimes a day or two depending, but most of the time it's about an hour before we go live. So it's an alternative way for us to also stay in touch. And then there's also a Facebook account, which I really don't use that much, but it's there. And I will be multi-streaming there. And then also Twitch, where sometimes I'll multi-stream the channel over there as well. But I also do Truth in Gaming over there. So, and that's strictly on Twitch. So if you're into video games, I almost always will play. If I play video games, it's usually ones that contain truth bombs in them, and do a light commentary. It's very casual. I'm not some pro gamer or anything, but if you're interested in seeing some truth in alternative media through something like video games, you can find me over there. Okay, so, and one more thing. I also have YouTube memberships. If you're interested in getting some extra content each month, we do for levels 2 and higher, we do a monthly members live stream, and that's on the last Sunday of every month. So for this month, it will be on the 27th of November, Sunday, the 27th of November. So everyone out there who's already a member or considering joining, that will be our next monthly live stream together. And then there's also with level 2 and higher, it also includes access to the members Discord server and early access videos, which I put out. Usually there's some of the clip videos or behind the scenes stuff. And then sometimes there's also bonus streams occasionally. And I know there's one other thing, but I'm forgetting. Anyways, feel free to check it out if you're interested in getting a little extra content each month. Oh yeah, and there's a whole archive, over a year's worth of live streams available that are included with membership. So feel free to join there. And if you are interested in supporting the channel, I also have a Stream Elements account, which you can, or a Stripe, which you can use with a securely with a credit card or checking account on Stripe. And then there's also YouTube Super Chats, but they take 30%. So any support is always appreciated, but never expected. So let's get into the second part here. Appreciate you hanging around. Hey, Universal Magic Man. Good to see you, my friend. Been a while. All right. So looking forward to part 2. It's going to start off, going to have a lot to say on this one. So here we go. Oh, I want to make sure Benny Hinn's music isn't playing. I might as well put him up there for the fun of it. Let's see.
You came back for a reason. Clearly, you said obviously.
Yeah.
So do you feel there's a special mission that God would want you to accomplish?
Yeah. And I'm still asking God to show me, for me to understand what He wants me to do.
Okay, so right out the gate, we get revealing moments, right? I mean, it's, do you know what your purpose is? Do you know what you're supposed to do? And he's like, no, I'm still asking God. I'm still trying to figure that out. And how many NDEers say they don't know what their purpose is? They don't know what their mission is. Sometimes they feel like they think they know, but lo and behold, if you start listening to them, they really do not know. And so if you go and have this amazing formative experience and you are told, and this pops up over and over and over again, that you have to go back to Earth because you have a mission to complete, or you have unfinished business, or you got to do this or that, whatever the case may be, all these excuses that we hear that send people back to Earth. Well, if you're coming back and go through this experience, sometimes you're coming back from, especially with NDEs, you're coming back from a horrible experience and you have to heal. You have to usually go through rehab and all sorts of things to get your body back in shape and continue on in life. But in the end, like after all that, most people do not know what their supposed mission is. If that's not suspect, I don't know what is. It's like a sore thumb. It just sticks out.
Yeah, you said obviously. So do you feel there's a special mission that God would want you to accomplish?
Yeah. And I'm still asking God to show me, for me to understand what He wants me to do for Him. But right now, I've made up my mind to serve Him. I've made up my mind to bear witness to Him. I've made up my mind to spread the news of what He has done for me. Yeah. And before this happened to me, I had so much ego with my music. I had so much determination with my music. But now I notice that those things are not important. What is important is to live the life God wants me to live. If God is happy with me, I don't care what any other person think about me. I just want that God is happy with me. Yeah. And if I can impress God, this is what matters to me. So that's why I have determined to make this interview, to tell people what He has done, that He's really, there's really life after this earth.
Okay, so, He wants to impress God. He's, again, cowering to the false hierarchical system that does not exist. It's perception-based. It doesn't exist. But it does once you kind of bow down to it, and then something sneaks in, the matrix sneaks in and takes advantage of the individual because of belief-based systems. Again, I know I'm kind of repeating myself, but I think it's really important to continue to say this, that everything is customized to the individuals. All of the top leading NDE researchers out there say this over and over again, and that's what I see. And there's no doubt that everything is based on customization. And that's what the Matrix does. Because it's recording every single second of every single minute of every single day throughout your entire lifetime, it has everything on you. And what it does is it kind of takes all that information, jumbles it up, and then spits out an experience to you that it hopes you'll fall for. It hopes and is banking on you buying into the deception. And most, I would say, 99.9% of beings fall for it. I mean, I guess you can say maybe less if there's, how would I know the number? But I mean, it's very clear that, people are not questioning these things and seeing how this can be a problem. It's the deck is stacked against everyone. And until we figure it out and realize our true power, our true essence, that we call the shots, the Matrix is going to win every time.
And people should be careful what kind of life they are living, because the kind of life you live here determines where you will be when after this life.
Yeah, and he's right. A lot of that is true, because the sinning and karma aspect of things, the way the system works is that it provides the fear, guilt, shame, just like we call it the fear, guilt, shame matrix. It's set up in a way. And of course, the counterbalance to all of that is love, the love bomb. And it has the upper hand every single time.
Determines where you will be when after this life. And exactly how there's good people here and there's bad people. Exactly how there's the light and there's the darkness. This is exactly how it is in the spiritual.
Okay, and I'm sorry to interrupt again, but this is another issue that, we has to be discussed. The whole vilifying of the dark. And I think the reason why the dark is so vilified, first, we are kind of trained in not being afraid of the dark, right? Being afraid of the void, so to say. And in turn, the light is supposed to be this, the good. But what's happening is the Matrix is playing both sides. It provides a false void or darkness, and it provides a false love, happiness experience, and it's playing both ends of the scale. And you're stuck in the middle, and if you're falling on either end and carrying those belief systems with you, it's going to win. And this is why it's so important. It's like the dualistic nature plays itself out in the astral too. It's not just here. It plays both ends of the spectrum, and it hopes that you're just going to buy into one of them. But to go a step further and talk about darkness and the void, let's say, the Matrix even has its own void realm that you can fall into. We've seen it quite a bit. And the issue is it's not that the person who's having the experience, it's not their own void-like realm. It is the Matrix's void-like realm. So what it's doing is it's replicating, in my opinion, our core piece of existence. I think when you strip everything down about who we are, what we are, we're just pure existence. It's not all of this distractions and happiness and love and destruction and death and visual things like sensory experiences. All this stuff is part of this realm in the entire Matrix structure, or at least most of the Matrix structure. I can't say all because I don't know, but you take that into account and you have to ask yourself, why are they vilifying the dark? Why are they vilifying the void? And some people go to the void realm of the Matrix, mind you, and they're okay, while there are many who are not okay. It's a big shock, and it makes sense, right? I mean, if you just come from this big sensory experience, just what we're here today, it's nothing major, right? We're all sitting here in front of the computer, our phones, we're talking, I mean, but we have lights, we have monitors, we have internet connections, we have, music and video and his testimony and all this stuff. So it's something that I think we get addicted to. And so it would be in the Matrix's best interest to provide the dark realm, to provide the void-like realm that you're familiar with. So basically you're gonna fall into its grip no matter what. But the key thing is that we've got to create our own void-like realm that is incapable of being infiltrated. Key thing right there. So makes sense that the Matrix would play both ends of the spectrum, and as long as you're falling into one of the boxes, the dark or the light, so to say, the good or the bad, then it's fine. It's still going to win. But when you create your own, and because your creator being abilities are being, your intention is being put out there to make sure that nothing can enter or distract you or mess with you, that's it. You're protecting yourself from that point forward. But the last thing you want to do is end up in these Matrix realms, because we just don't know what the hell is going on. So that's why it's kind of like strip everything away and play things as safe as possible, so you have the best outcome and are taking care of yourselves. So sorry for that, but it's really important that it's said, because the whole vilification of the darkness is just, it gets old.
The light and there's the darkness. This is exactly how it is in the spiritual world. There's the light and there's darkness. And you have to decide, now that you are living, where you want to be when you are dead.
Where do you mean? Yes.
Yeah.
If you
and the darkness are not happy if they see that you want to go to the light. They try as much as possible to draw you to the dark. So if
Okay, now him saying that, I think is it's really important to point out that, remember, he's had a coma experience. These are oftentimes very, very difficult and can be negative. And he went through his whole scenario. We've covered some really, really dark coma experiences, and if you're interested in checking those out, you can search my YouTube channel and search for Coma Diaries. I was almost going to put this one in it, but it really, I don't know, I just felt it didn't really fit there, even though it technically can. So I will make a playlist for that as well. But if you search Coma Diaries, you'll find some other videos on the topic. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because he's saying how it wanted to pull him into the darkness. And it does seem like with a lot of comas, especially if they're extended comas, that they can get really dark really quick. And I'm saying negative, not dark, vision wise, but they can just be complete torture of the individual. So it's a little different, well, majorly different than your standard NDE. I think that's the best way I could put it.
Draw you to the dark. So if you are, if God is with you and his angels is with you, they will protect you spiritually for you to make it to heaven. Yeah, which is the light. This is what I have learned.
So it's often you have to,
because I had also a bad experience also spiritually. Yeah, I was when after I came down from heaven. First of all, I woke up in my own village in Africa, and in a mortuary where they are taking care of the dead bodies. And this mortuary is called St. Francis Mortuary. It's very famous in my hometown. And if, God forbid, if I will be dead and my body will be brought to Africa, it is definitely the same mortuary that my body will be deposited before the burial is planned and everything other thing is planned. So I woke up there and I found, I was on the table and I saw a lot of dead bodies. It was in the middle of the night. And I was very scared, and my mind told me that I'm in St. Francis Mortuary Hospital. And I saw the window was open, and my mind tells me if I would try to jump out from the window, the security guards might even shoot me because they would think I'm a criminal. I was thinking what to do, but I know that I shouldn't be there. All of a sudden, a young boy who is around 8 to 9 years old came out from the wall. He just came out from nowhere, and he came to me. He was just passing, and he said, "Oh, you woke up." I said, "Who are you?" He said, "No, don't worry. Everything will be fine." And he was having a small game on his hand. And he...
So, like, when you hear this, you've got to ask yourself, you know, I mean, he's got this small game on his hand. I mean, that's very specific. And very specific to Earth, right? So if he's got, let's just say, whatever the heck the systems are these days, I'll just say Game Boy because I'm old. But let's just say he's got Game Boy. He's playing a game that's so specific. And it makes you wonder, like, is he one that is lost there? I mean, I don't know, but just something to consider here.
"Oh, you woke up." I said, "Who are you?" He said, "No, don't worry. Everything will be fine." And he was having a small game on his hand. And he went to the window. I said, "Don't go to the window, they will shoot you." He said, "No, they will not do anything." And he went to the window and tried to sit on the window. And I had a gunshot. So it seems like my mind told me somebody who was trying to shoot the young boy was shot from the back. So I could hear a scream, somebody fell down. So
it's like a premonition within this experience. Very, very strange. But it lines up with some of the other weird dark coma experiences we've gone over. Of course, it's his own version, but remember, he's overlooking this area and it's filled with dead bodies, and then all of a sudden a kid comes flying through a wall, or comes through a wall, and he's trying to protect the child, and then in the distance someone else is shot when he was warning that child about not going out there and protecting himself or herself. So very, very interesting moment there.
You hear a scream, somebody fell down. So I took the boy and jumped out from the window. All of a sudden it was darkness again, because the sense of what I went through and where different places I was like saints. It goes like darkness and you wake up all of a sudden somewhere else again. So when this happened, it goes up. I escaped from the mortuary. It went dark again. All of a sudden I woke up in a small room, and it seems like still in my hometown. This room seems like where the security people who are securing the villages are having their meeting. So I woke up there and I was thinking, what am I doing here? I shouldn't be laying down here. All of a sudden my wife came with the cars, even with security guards, and she came and said, "Oh, you have woken up." I said, "What am I doing here?" She said, "Oh, I just wanted to surprise you. I secretly asked the doctor to inject you a sleeping medicine for you to sleep, so that we can book a flight and come to Africa. If you wake up and you'll be in Africa." I was so angry. I said, why should you do that? And she was laughing, and she came with my daughter. And she said, "No, come, let's go to your place because I want to see your brothers. I want to see my brother-in-law." And I went with them into the car. And all of a sudden it was dark again. And I woke up again and I was laying in the hospital. It looks like a hospital, it looks like a garage, but with a hospital bed. And I was having drips all over my body. And my wife came in again with another clothes, and she said, "Oh, you have woken up." I said, "What happened? Did I have an accident or what?" And I was moving my leg, and she said, "Oh, you can even move your leg. This is nice." I said, what happened? She couldn't even explain to me what happened. And what I'm telling you is with all consciousness. It wasn't like a dream. There was a friend, someone I knew back in the days in Africa when I was in the movie industry. We were acting, he's also an actor, we were taking part in some films. This guy came in there. But I heard that this guy is not living anymore. Yeah, I don't know what happened, and he was shot and he died. But he came in there and he was wearing black leather jackets and black sunglasses. And he came in and said to me in Igbo, "Oh, Uche, so you have finally made it." He said it in my language. And my wife was like, "Who is this?" I said to her, "I know him from a long time ago in Africa." And this guy was walking and was looking around the room, like looking for something to finish me up. Because when I saw him, I knew immediately that he didn't come in peace. And he seemed so angry, so dangerous. I was scared at the moment. So he was looking around the room, he couldn't find anything. So he went behind me, and behind me there was a small room where someone can wash his hands. He went in there, was trying to get something, and my wife said, "I don't like his energy." And she pressed a button on my bed, and that room locked up. It was the room had something like an iron door. It was locked up. Immediately he noticed that it was locked up. He was trying to come out again, and there was a cleaning woman who was at the door, and a second guy who came with him tried to come in, because I think he noticed that his friend had a problem inside. So he tried to come in, and a cleaning woman was having something to clean, and he was stuck on the door. So this guy couldn't come in. And this guy inside of the room noticed that his time was out. He broke the window. I could see how he flew out from the window. He grew a black wing and flew out from the window.
So you would say that was the black wings, I guess. Well, it's obvious.
Yeah, it seems that he came from the dark, and he came to finish me up, to take me with him. But my wife was there, and my wife was kind of protecting me, because all the while I was in coma, I used to see my wife all the time. She always come and visit me, because she was praying, and we are highly connected spiritually. And it went dark again. The next thing I saw is that I saw my wife.
So it's interesting, more with comas than with NDEs. You can see a living family member appear in the experience. I've seen quite a few, whereas with NDEs, it's more rare. With breakthrough trip reports, it's more rare, not impossible, but it's not as prevalent. Like, whereas with comas, it seems to be a little more possible, I guess. So there's, maybe it's you know, the Matrix uses living family members when it has to, and if someone is out of it and their body, their vessel, their meat suit is still up and running, then the Matrix has to throw more at them, because they're in their world more often. So just something to consider. Not, I mean, that's just kind of a theory, obviously, but makes sense.
She brought me inside of a room. I didn't know where that was. This, my friend, priest, he used to come also to the intensive station and pray for me and go again. He comes every second or third day. I saw him in this room my wife brought me, and I had a lot of bandages all over my hand, all over my head, like someone who had a brain crash. I couldn't even understand what was going on. And when I saw this priest, I started crying. So he reached out, he spread his hands and hold me in my hands, and asked me to sit down, and he started praying. But he was not speaking anything, he was praying in his mind. but I could feel the energy, I could feel his prayer. And this went out again. Immediately I woke up in an apartment in Austria, in Vienna here. Okay. It was a child, like a children's room. I was sitting in front of a TV. The TV was, the station was already finished, like 12 o'clock in the night, and it was just this shh on the TV. I woke up, I looked around the room, I didn't know where I was, but I know it's a child's room. The same boy who came out from the wall, who came out in the mortuary in Africa, came inside the room again.
Damn, that's pretty nuts.
But I know it's a child's room. The same boy who came out from the wall, who came out in the mortuary in Africa, came inside the room again, still with his game on his hand. And my mind was telling me that this guy, this small boy, is my guardian angel. Because in every human being, there's a special spirit that is assigned to protect you, to look after you. Yeah?
That's like a guardian.
That's complete bullshit. That's complete bullshit. I'm sorry, I don't buy it. That's new age, religious type stuff that it doesn't cut the cake. It's completely false. No, if there were angels protecting you, if there was this and that protecting you, whatever you want to classify them as, then none or barely any of what happens here would occur. Can we, I mean, it's just common sense, right? I mean, it defies logic. All you have to do, just because maybe you had more of an easy street of a life, doesn't mean that the child in India or the child in China or the adult in North Korea or whoever has an easy life. And if there is some guardian angel looking over them, well, don't you think that they would have stepped in and made sure that they weren't involved with a system that oppresses them, and totalitarian regimes, and children and adults that starve or don't have water? I mean, we've gone over this before, or are tortured or trafficked or whatever the case may be. It's just not true. It may not be as bad for some of us based on where we've incarnated, based on the families that we've incarnated in. But in the end, the big picture, there is not much protection in the terms of guardian angels. And I'll go a step further and say that these things that people like to call angels seem to conveniently appear in highly traumatic moments. And what I think is going on there is it's to keep the scam running, right? It's so you can have someone, and I fully believe this, and I know we joke about Jesus and all that, but someone who is at their wits' end, they're having a horrible go at it. They're kind of at the pinnacle of depression or sadness or questioning whether God exists or this or that, or Jesus, come help me. And when they scream out to Jesus or God or whoever, they appear and they make things better. But it's temporary. It's temporary. It's a quick fix. And what it does is it's like the Matrix knows. When someone gets to the low of all lows, it sends in the reinforcements, the Matrix reinforcement officers, to make sure that they are going to continue to be a customer next lifetime. And what does that normally do? It changes a person spiritually. Like if you're in the pits of hell and you have some entity come and help you in your time of need, you are going to be a believer. At least for a period of time, usually for life. But that's what I'm trying to get at. It's like, that's how the Matrix picks the most opportune moments possible when you're at your low or questioning this reality or whatever the case may be. It doesn't even have to be trauma, but it has to be something where you're kind of putting your intention into a belief system, and that, well, lo and behold, what a surprise, the Matrix delivers. I mean, so, you know, it's a really, really strong talking point, and that to me is something proven. It's not, it happens so often, it's not even funny. So, and why is it? And that's, the answer's simple. It's just about keeping beings contained, true essence being contained, so that they don't question this reality further. Because you can only push someone so far until they crack. And that's the moment that they seem to wait for and feast off of.
You.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Like a guardian.
A guardian angel.
Yeah.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. This boy came in and said, "Oh, Uncle Mike, the TV is finished." Mm-hmm. Yeah? I said, yeah, I was so tired. I was so feeling so sleepy, so dizzy. Mm-hmm. And he went and off the TV and said, don't be scared, you are in my room. Mm-hmm. You can come out to the parlor. My mom is making a dinner. Mm-hmm. You can come out and join us. I said, okay, I'm coming. So he went out again.
Mm-hmm. What do you make?
So I gathered my energy and stood up and came out to the parlor. I saw his mom preparing the table, and I saw him sitting at the table. He was looking at me and was smiling, and I saw that I didn't even know the woman, and she didn't see me. It's only the boy that could see me. Mm-hmm. So I went down the steps, and I saw his elder brother. He was having a guitar in his hands and was playing some reggae music and was rehearsing with his guitar. Mm-hmm. And I passed him. He didn't see me. Mm-hmm. I opened the door and went out. Mm-hmm. And immediately I went out, I went in to another compound. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I saw immediately some people, they rushed to me and said, "Oh, you don't feel well, you are having headache and we have to take care of you." They injected me something on the neck, mm-hmm. so I feel more dizzy, and they put me to bed and tied me to bed and put me in a room. In this
tie him to a room. They drug him up and tie him. This guy has been through absolute hell. And I don't know. I mean, maybe I don't know. I mean, it's just wrong. Totally wrong.
And we have to take care of you. They injected me something on the neck, mm-hmm. so I feel more dizzy, and they put me to bed and tied me to bed and put me in a room. Yeah. In this separate room, I could look out from the door, mm-hmm. and I see a lot of people laying in their beds, old people. Mm-hmm. They were also sick. And they put a pipe on my nose where the oxygen should be flowing. Mm-hmm. But after every 45 minutes, there's an alarm that will blow. I will hear that. I didn't know if other people hear that, but I could hear some alarm that blows. Immediately, the oxygen stops. Mm-hmm. What will come is a gas. A dangerous gas would come up through the pipe, mm-hmm. and I saw how people were dying. They were collapsing on their bed. Mm-hmm. And when this gas comes, it smells very, very, very ugly, very unpleasant.
Okay, I'm going to rewind this part, but I meant to ask Ed. I think you and I talked about, there was an experience, I cannot find it, and anyone who's familiar with it, please, I'm sorry to stop it right now, but it just made me think of it. There is an experiencer, an NDEer, I want to say out of South America somewhere. I'm not exactly sure where, but it was a Spanish NDE. It was a really revealing one. I did save it for a while, but I cannot find it. Anyways, in short, the man was on a motorcycle, got into a bad crash, and he ended up getting healed. But in a very, very short breakdown, I'll just say that he was in a coma and had and was in like this like run down hospital, and there were other beings in there getting worked on, healed, and he came back healed. It's a fascinating NDE. I've been meaning to cover it for a while and try to maybe find someone who can translate it to English so we have an audio and I can respond to it. I mean, I may even do the voiceover work myself, but if anyone's familiar with that case, if you could put the title of that video in here, I'd greatly appreciate it. It was a guy on a motorcycle going really fast, gets into a quote unquote accident and ends up in a coma and is healed by entities, but he's experiencing all this really, really shady stuff. And it makes me wonder when I hear his story about how there are these other beings laying around and present. So yeah, anyways, I'll move along. Okay, I'm sorry, Ed. The problem is I can't find the link, but I know you and I have discussed the NDE before. I'll try and keep looking for it. I was looking for it last week, but if anyone has an idea as to the experience that I'm talking about, please just type in the chat the title of the YouTube video so I can hunt it down and find it.
But I could hear some alarm that blows. Immediately, the oxygen stops. What will come is a gas. A dangerous gas will come on through the pipe, and I saw how people were dying. They were collapsing on their bed. And when this gas comes, it smells very, very, very ugly, very unpleasant. So I tried to remove my nose from the pipe. Even my nose was bleeding. I tried to remove my nose from the pipe, and the nurses will come and force that pipe back in my nose.
What the hell is that about? Sounds like something that was going on over the last few years here in the world. That whole thing, I'll leave it alone. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so I will inhale it a little bit and try to cease breathing. And this will be over. Then the oxygen will come again. And the nurses were complaining, that I'm so aggressive. I should calm down, that this is not dangerous. And the nurses, they avoided that I see their face. They don't want me to see their face. They come and they cover up their faces. And sometimes a voice comes from through the speaker and said, we need a young boy of 27 years old who has a bank account in First Bank, and he should have a blood group A, and he should have a healthy liver and a healthy kidney. We need his liver and kidney to save an important politician. So I said, this is where they kill people to use the kidney and to save other people. So and sometimes I had a handy on my pocket, and it was ringing. And sometimes I could hear, my ears can open, and I hear the voice of my daughter. She will be laughing. And I said, because of my daughter, because of the love I have for my kids, I will not give up. I will not let them do anything that I die here.
Okay, so he's, remember, he's already been given the guilt and shame about his children and wife back home by his deceased family members. And meanwhile, he's bordering back and forth between two worlds, and I will not give up. I will not give up. I will do what I need to do for my children. Now, mind you, if you have children in that position, it's got to be very, very difficult to not come back. And just the thought of the trauma that they would go through. So it's not like you can't relate with something like this. It's just another tactic in a toolbox of many different tools of fuckery.
I will not let them do anything that I die here. And believe me, if they could kill me there, it might be that in reality that I wouldn't have woke up from the coma. Because everything that happens in the physical is finished in the spiritual. If you're weak in the spiritual, it affects you. Any negativity that comes affects you in the physical. But if you're strong in the spiritual, you are protected in the physical. So it was a big fight, a fight between life and death. So The doctors.
And, you know, it's a fight between life and death. And I mean, that's what some of these other comas talk about, right? I mean, it's like they go to battle, they go to war like with themselves, but it's all because of the Matrix too. It's a catalyst that they work together in unison to make sure that someone comes back. And maybe it takes some time. Like, for instance, he was in a coma for 5 weeks. You know, maybe the healing modality, so to say, so that when they come back, that they don't have to work as hard to heal themselves, is it takes some time based on whatever life script you had. For instance, a car crash or whatever the case may be.
I see how these people collapse, and the doctors will come in front of my eyes. They will cut these people into pieces, take their kidney and take their liver, put it in a small box and drive away with it. And they will take the body and put it in an oven. And this will burn them out there. And this hospital seems like it's a very big secret. I could hear the taxis passing by, but people doesn't know what is happening inside. I could hear the train passing by with all consciousness. So, and in my room, they said that I'm aggressive, and they locked the door and put the heat to 700 grads.
Okay.
Yeah, they removed my shirt and put the heat on 700 grads. I was sweating. I couldn't have a breath, but I swear to myself that I will not give up. And they put iron balls on my hand, on my 2 hands. It was so heavy for me, and they tied me on the bed so that I could not move. Each movement, if I move my finger, alarm will start blowing that they know that I'm trying to escape. They will come again and check everything. So later on, they put me to the next room. The next room is like it looks like a empty hall with different beds on it.
This is exactly I mean, I've seen this with other specifically coma NDEs. I mean, it's incredible that it's like a healing center. I swear. I mean, like that's what it represents. I mean, it pops up enough where there are these similarities between each case that has this component in it. I mean, it's wild, totally wild. Even with regular NDEs, we've seen this before, where like there's like this like they're working with energy and healing them on a bed or something. But the whole, like the way he is describing it is very, very similar to some other coma experiences that are NDEs, where they're out for days, weeks, months at a time.
Hall with different beds on it. They put me there with other people. I saw older women and older men. They were sick. They were not feeling well. They put me there, and I asked one of the doctor, what do they want to do? They said they want to make us a cold shower. And this will heal every pain we have inside. If there's any vein that is blocked, it will be open. But inside of my mind, I know that these people they want me dead. So they tied us on the bed and pressed a button. The bed was standing straight like this. They went out and closed the door and put the ice cold water. Yeah, and I was the only one naked. And before I closed my eyes and said to myself, no matter what happened, I will not give up. I will not die. This is what I said to myself. So the water was like 5 minutes showering on us, very cold water, ice block water. And later on, they open it again, bring the bed down, and I could see how other people were already gone. It was just their body. And I opened my eyes, and one doctor said, "Oh, he survived it. This black man, he survived it. He pressed me on the ribs and said he didn't even break any ribs. This is a miracle. He survived it." They said he said to the nurses they should bring me back to my room. But before the nurses came and took me away, a very strange black old woman with no legs, she looks like a mermaid, came out from upstairs and came down, and all of them bowed down to her.
Wow. I mean, that is wild. Totally wild. You want to hear that one more time?
With no legs. She looked strange, black, old woman with no legs. She looks like a mermaid. Came out from upstairs and came down, and all of them bowed down to her. And she speaks.
So again, it's like this. It's this entity in mermaid form that is just, you know, looked upon as this amazing being. They're bowing down to her. This is the hierarchical system that distorts everyone's perception. And this is what he received.
The language I don't even understand. But when she speaks, you think you are hearing 7 voices. And she looks so devilish. And she
Now, he said 7 voices. I forgot. Please put it in the chat. I don't remember. Was when he was talking about earlier about the boxes and how they represented 5 or 10 years. Did he say 6 or 7? I thought he said 7. So I'm really curious if any of you remember. Was it 7? For some reason, that's what I thought, but it could be 6. So maybe there's some crossover connection there. So it was 7. Okay. All right.
Came down, and all of them bow down to her. And she speaks the language I don't even understand. But when she speaks, you think you are hearing 7 voices. And she looks so devilish. And as she talked to them, and they report, it's like they report to her what happened. So my mind said to me, those people that died, their spirits are sacrificed to this woman. But if you survive, they bring you back to the bed, hospital bed. But if you die on the process, your spirit is automatically sacrificed to her. So she gave them a command and tell them what to do, and went up again to her room and lay down. And I was feeling goosebumps. And they came and took me. Instead of bringing me to my room, they left me at the doorway. I didn't know what to do. And I was there from 9 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock in the evening. All the sun that was shining that day was hitting on me. And I saw one nurse. This nurse had a lot of piercing on the nose, on the lips, on the ears, a lot of piercing and tattoos all over her face. You will not even imagine that someone like this can be a nurse. She came and she wanted to pass me, and I said to her, please, can you call my wife, just so that my wife knows that I'm here? She said, no, it's not allowed. I said to her, okay, can you call an ambulance to take me to Rudolph Shift?
It's not allowed. Not allowed. The guy wants to call his freaking wife.
So that my wife knows that I'm here. She said, no, it's not allowed. I said to her, okay, can you call an ambulance to take me to Rudolph Shifton, to the hospital where I normally go if I'm sick? And she said, who do you think you are? You can go to hell. She started shouting on me very devilishly. She said, who do you think you are? She even said the word with the N word and said to me, you could go and die and go to hell. Yeah, it's not allowed for us to call anyone. You should just be happy you are even here. And she went out. And another nurse was coming like 1 hour later. She saw my condition. She had pity on me. Saliva was running out from my mouth. I was terribly in a terrible condition. She came and said, is there anything I can do for you? I said to her, please, the only thing you can do for me is to call the ambulance and ask them to transfer me to Rudolph Stiftung Hospital. That I don't like the energy here. I don't know what kind of hospital that is, that I am. Yeah, I need to be transferred. She said, normally it's not allowed. I said to her, please. She went out, and after 5 minutes, she came back. She took out her personal phone and hid under my bed and called the ambulance. And said, there's a black man who is here. I don't like his condition. He's not nice. He wants to be transferred to Rudolph Stiftung. Please come as fast as possible. And before she could put her handy back on her pocket, the nurse with the tattoo saw her and went and report her. So she went out. After 2 minutes, I heard some people shouting. I heard that they were shouting on her, and she came and picked her bag and went away and went home. So she went out. The nurse with the tattoo saw her and went and report her. So she went out. After 2 minutes, I heard some people shouting. I heard that they were shouting on her, and she came and picked her bag and went away and went home. So 2 hours later, the ambulance was coming. They came because I was laying close to the small gate. I could see the lights from the ambulance. I could see that this was the ambulance. They came and they pressed the bell for someone to open the door. This nurse with the tattoo came and called them on the intercom and said to them, it's not, they have to go to the opposite side of the gate. There's a patient there, this is who they have to take. And this ambulance went.
This is who they have to take.
And called them on the intercom and said to them, it's not, they have to go to the opposite side of the gate. There's a patient there, this is who they have to take.
So it's
and
like
this ambulance went out and went to the opposite of the door of the gate and picked an old woman and went away. I was so sad. And she came to me and met to me like, you will stay here, you will die here. She went away. A nurse.
You will stay here, you will die here. Jeez. I mean, talk about ominous, just negativity all around. And that's the crazy thing about comas. Like, and I think he kind of whitewashes things because of, no pun intended, of course, but, but he kind of made I don't know how you put this. He pads the experience he had because of what he went through with his family, right? With his mother, his father-in-law, and all that stuff. And so there was like a good moment there, even though they told him he couldn't stay there, then he had to go back, and that they trolled him and were moving back and all that stuff. Then, I mean, and then you kind of have all this other stuff unfolding. It really, I don't know. It's like he kind of doesn't take into account all this craziness and this negativity that occurred because of the power that those other experiences had. And that's something we see just with regular NDEs, not even comas. It's like, okay, so you can have a hell-like experience and then you can be dropped into the light or see the light in the distance and travel to it and everything will kind of turn out okay. But still, does that kind of erase what occurred with the other situation? I mean, come on. I mean, with all these other beings that are kind of targeting him.
I was so scared. And immediately, this small boy came again. He came again and said to me, he always called me Uncle Mike. He said to me, Uncle Mike, how are you? How are you doing? I said to him, I'm very scared. He said, don't be scared. I will go and call my mom. My mom is also a doctor in this hospital. She will take care of you. You can tell her anything that you don't like. I said, okay. I thanked her and I thanked him. He went out. After some minutes, a young girl who is around 13 years old with a boy who is 12 years old, they came with MP3 on their ear and came to me and said, they are learning how to take care of, they are learning to be nurses and doctors. They want to help me to, if I have brushed my teeth, I said no. They said if I have taken a shower, I said no. and they said, okay, we will clean you. And why they leave you at this corridor? I said, I don't know. I'm laying here since morning. They said, I will find and make a room very nice for you and put you in a room upstairs. And they turned me around and cleaned me and put me a hospital cloth on. And I said to her that I don't like the nurses here. That one nurse was shouting at me and said I should go to her. She said, oh, I know, don't mind them. They are very dangerous, but we are here to protect you. From now on, don't be scared anymore.
Wow. I mean, these are children giving him that message. I mean, it's I mean, if I had to guess, it's just the Matrix using these children as conduits. I mean, it's such a wild experience.
Here to protect you. From now on, don't be scared anymore. And they cleaned me and she put me up. I don't know how she did it. All of a sudden, I was in a room upstairs. It was more lower temperature. And it was in the night already. She gave me a small, something that looks like a remote control, and said to me, if anybody I don't know that comes inside this room, if I don't trust the person, I should press the button. I should hide the button under my clothes. I should press the button, and this button will make a signal on her MP3, and she will come in to check what the person is doing. I was so happy at this moment. And she went out and sit outside of, I left my door open, and she sit outside of the door. And sometimes she was listening to the music, and sometimes she looked back at me and make me a sign, if everything is okay. I will make that everything is okay. She said, okay. So, and I was begging her to send SMS to my wife and tell my wife that I'm here. Yeah? She said, no problem, everything will be taken care of. I was in that room, I couldn't sleep. Yeah? And later on, my wife was coming. My wife was coming.
Okay, so we have reached, we're at, I don't know, like the 2 hour and almost 2 hours and 40 minutes. We've taken one break, going to take one more, and we're going to finish it up. We've probably got about another 30, 40 minutes tops of the NDE to go through with commentary. So hang in there with me, my friends. You don't want to miss the rest. And I hope you've been enjoying this one. It's a wild experience. I know it's a bit long, but well worth it. So thanks for hanging out tonight. And just as a reminder, this channel is for educational purposes only. And we will see each other again in about 5 minutes. Thank you so much. Just so you know, I'll probably be less than what the timer says, so probably about 3 minutes. See you shortly, my friends. Thank you. to Forever Conscious Research channel. Okay, so we are moving along with Michael's near-death experience. It's been a wild ride so far. I would like to give a big hello out there to Ed and Addie, Galina, Catherine. Hello, welcome. Glad you are here to join us. And Robert, hello, my friend. It's good to see you. I'm not sure if you got my message. I sent you a response, I don't know, a month or so back about some things, and not sure if you ever got them, but it'd be cool if we can talk sometime if you have some availability. And hello, candidly. Okay, so if I haven't said it already, I may have. I know I've said it earlier, but maybe I just said it and forgot. My memory sucks with this Lyme thing. This channel is for educational purposes only, and we are going to move along. We've got about maybe another 30-40 minutes to go on this experience with commentary, maybe a little less. We'll see. Okay, so here we go. Oh, Catherine, you know what? Okay, before we continue, Catherine, okay. Thank you. You know what? I think I did see that. I think the initial email that you sent went to my spam, and I did notice other people's messages have gone to spam. So if you haven't heard from me, I apologize. I'll have to check my spam a little bit more. But that's so kind of you, Catherine. Thank you. I'll respond soon. And Robert, yeah, that'd be great. You could you could check the about section of the channel in desktop view or from a computer. So, okay. Chain Minds, great to see you, my friend. All right, let's continue on here.
Yeah. I'm about to send SMS to my wife and tell my wife that I'm here. Yeah. She said, no problem. Everything will be taken care of. I was in that room. I couldn't sleep. Yeah. And later on, my wife was coming. I said to her, oh, you know that I'm here? She said, yeah, she knows that I'm here. I said, well, I don't believe it. If I know that you know that I'm here, now that you are here, that you know that I'm here, I can peacefully close my eyes and die. Because these people want me dead, but my spirit doesn't allow it to die. And if I would give up, I would die immediately. But when I saw my wife, I said to her, now that you are here, now that you know that I'm here, I can peacefully close my eyes and die. She said, no, you are not going to die. I said to her, please, if you love your husband, call the ambulance so that they bring me to Rudolf Stiftung. She said, but you're in the Rudolf Stiftung. I said, no, this is not Rudolf Stiftung. So at this moment is when I woke up in the hospital.
Okay. So that was...
this was when I woke up.
Okay.
Yeah.
And would you say, for example, that you obviously then you went through this experience of heaven, and it's clear that this other experience was not so nice.
Yeah, it was the dark side of the spiritual world.
Exactly.
And
I like how he calls it the dark side of the spiritual ward. And essentially he was in a ward too. There is something about having, I know I said it earlier, but there's something, it's got to be stressed again. There's something about having the 1 foot in this world and 1 foot in the astral realms, and how the two worlds collide, because that connection is still rooted here on Earth. So, really, really fascinating stuff.
it was the dark side of the spiritual world.
Exactly.
And these people want to finish me up and bring me to hell.
And so it wasn't, clearly we see both sides here, and for you too, you've seen obviously in your mind what
and I felt like hell might not be exactly how we think it is.
That's because it's not. I mean, it's self-imposed. It's the belief systems that are there, but it's going to play either side, whatever side it feels it can get you in. So even if someone doesn't believe in hell in like the religious sense. Someone could, like, for instance, there was a case I went over with a man who, a heartbreaking case. This was towards the end of his life. This was deathbed visions and visitations, but he kind of spilled his guts to the nurse and said, "Oh, well, I was in Vietnam and I was supposed to be covering one of my buddies in the field, and I wasn't at that moment, and he got shot and got killed." So he had this tremendous guilt throughout his entire life that, if he just hadn't turned from that for that one moment, or whatever the case may be, and covered his friend and knew where the shot was coming from, that maybe he could have protected his buddy. And he lived with this his entire life, ate him alive. And in his final days or months actually, with the deathbed visions and visitations, premonitions, well, his friend came and had to kind of his quote unquote friend came, which, that's completely up for debate, but we'll just go with the assumption that it's an AI that is there to please him and kind of clear this stuff out so that he can move on and be a compliant, true essence being like the Matrix wants them to be. So he is talking with the nurse about this situation, and lo and behold, who shows up? Well, not necessarily the family or this or that. It's this guy shows up on his deathbed, last few days or few weeks, actually, I think it was, and says to him, "Well, look, like, I'm okay. And what happens is he has like a mini life review where he's thrown into Vietnam again, but he's living it through the experience of his buddy. But his buddy is the one that showed up and provided this experience to him. And what did that do? It kind of eased his resentment about not covering his friend in Vietnam and this and that, and being responsible for his death because that was his job, with the way they line the troops up in the field. And it just ate him alive. And he experienced it. And then at the end, like, it's like, oh, well, everything's okay. But it's not okay, because all that did was just continue to provide the illusion to him. I don't even know why I was sharing this story. There was a point to it, but, like, my heart just ached for him. I mean, it just killed me inside to see the lengths that this system goes. And, this guy's dying. He's dying, and he has this huge regret about his buddy, and the Matrix goes and makes him relive it. And yeah, I mean, they whatever he was dealing with, it cleared out all those problems for him in his final weeks. But really diabolical stuff. And well, at the end, he was talking to the nurse and said he saw a light in the corner of the room, and he saw, I think, his friends and family and his buddy and stuff like that. And that's where he was going. And he told the nurse this. So, so for those that doubt too, I mean, I'm going to branch off this very, very quickly and just say that, for those that may doubt that, NDEs, they're not an accurate representation of a person who dies. They absolutely are. 1,000%, because those who have shared death experiences. Now, shared death experiences are a situation when a good friend or family is dying, and you don't have to even be necessarily in the hospital room or around them at their house if they have hospice or whatever. You can be all the way across the world, and then boom, all of a sudden you're thrusted into this experience while your friend is dying, and you are acting as a catalyst to help them cross over. And you're witnessing everything, including sometimes the life review and this and that, or trying to usher them to the light, whatever the case may be. So NDEs are a spot on representation of what happens when you die. There is no doubt in my mind that it is. If it's any other way, then it would just blow me, through the roof right now. But it's so clear. I mean, if you have a family or a friend sitting in the waiting room or the hospice bed or the home or all the way across the world, and you just know that they're sick, and then all of a sudden you start having a shared death experience with them and seeing them transition, through the tunnel and to the light or whatever the case may be, and having to go through the life review and this and that, and seeing their life review and their whole situation with the parasitic system, then it says it all. It says that it's the most accurate depiction that we can think of, and it lines up perfectly, fits like a glove. So that's like something I like to say. Like if you have friends or family out there and you're trying to talk to them about this topic, and they say, "Oh, well, how do we know that it's it's an accurate representation of death?" Well, shared death experiences blow the lid out of the whole thing, because it shows the same exact mechanism, except from an observer point of view. The person's still going and going through all the same things that their loved one is going through that's dying in that moment. But it's all of the same things. That's not a coincidence. That's an accurate representation of exactly how the system works. So when we look at NDEs, it's spot on. It's spot on. It's a perfect representation about what can occur at the time of death if one is still linked to the beliefs of the matrix system. But that's not us, right? We're done with that. True essence beings for the win, baby. Kind of cringe, sorry.
What the spirit suffers is the sorrow. Sorrow is so deep that you even prefer that somebody beats you up. Yeah? You prefer that someone cuts your hand and you feel pain. Pain is even much nicer than sorrow. Sorrow is so heavy and it's so spiritual. You cannot describe it. And it's the same way in heaven. You cannot describe the peace in heaven. The peace that exists in heaven doesn't exist anywhere on earth. No matter how rich you are, you can be the richest man on earth. You can live in a Canary Island and feel like, oh, I'm in holiday. You are not at peace. The peace in heaven is not existing on earth. And this peace is only God can give it to you. Now I know why.
Only God can give it to you. No other being, only God.
This is only God can give it to you. Now I know why Jesus Christ, each time he comes to his apostle, he said, "May peace be with you." I've been wondering why he's always saying that. But the peace he means is the peace that comes from heaven. And everything is inside of this peace. The happiness, the joy, the health, the blessings, the long life, everything is in. You cannot describe this peace. Yeah? And since this happened to me, since I experienced a little of this peace, I don't want to miss it again. I promise God to live as much as possible, to live a good life for the rest of the life I have now, so that at the end I can make it back to heaven.
Okay, so see how he's already, I mean, not like it wasn't clear the whole time we've been going over this NDE, but he has this preconceived notion that it was God. He was in a place that he loved and cared about, saw his family members and all this other stuff. And then even despite kind of having hellish experiences after that in the coma, he's still subscribing to that where he was was a place with God and deceased family members, and that, you know, meanwhile deceased family members are laughing at him and trolling him, and you know, he tries to get closer, she moves farther away. I mean, it's all a big illusion and deception, and just messing with the mind. You know, when is enough enough?
Feel this peace again. And if people on earth we have experience of this peace, I don't think anybody will wants to end up in hell.
You're right. I think we've all experienced this at some point, unexplainably. I know I have, for example, and then you have, and I'm sure a lot of other people that you know have. We always strive for it. We're given it for maybe a short time, and that might be a moment when you're outside, perhaps, and you experience the nature, the trees, the wind, the sun, and on those days you know that that's not going to necessarily last, but you know, you appreciate it nonetheless, and you realise how beautiful things can be, what you can have. And
then the peace that is in heaven is even deeper than this one you are describing now. You cannot see this you cannot feel this peace with your physical body. You can only feel it with your soul. It's only the soul that can feel it. It's the same way the soul can feel the sorrow. And this sorrow in hell is more than anything. It's the ugliest feeling you can have as a spirit.
Of course, one last thing would be very important for people who perhaps are suffering from this problem, or might have, or might already at the moment be going through this, is, of course, what can you do to avoid an aneurysm naturally? Would be the.
I was making a research. Aneurism, it was explained that aneurism, most of the people that have high blood pressure can develop aneurism. And this has killed a lot of people. You will see someone walking on the street, all of a sudden he collapses and dies, and you think he's poisoned or whatever, but something breaks inside and he starts bleeding. So aneurism can also develop from from smokers. People that smoke so heavily, it can cause aneurysm. It's just through the veins that a part of the veins start being weak. All of a sudden it blows like a balloon, and it can break at any moment. But the most dangerous one is the brain aneurysm, which is not giving any sign, and 95% of people doesn't stand a chance of surviving it, and the remaining 5% that survive it, 4% survive it, but being either they have brain damage or they have stroke. Half of their body is paralyzed. But thank God, it's a miracle that I survived it, and I came back healthy. I didn't have stroke. It's a miracle. Even the doctors couldn't believe how fast I recovered. Even some doctors, if they had this story, they said, if this will happen, the same thing will happen to other people, they will still be laying down for 1 year or 2 years. But this happens just a few months ago, and I have started walking again, living a normal life again, and it's a miracle. People that have high blood pressure should always make sure that they control it very often, that their high blood pressure should always be down. Because when this happened to me, my wife called, my friend called the ambulance. It was before my wife came home. They checked my blood pressure. It was almost up to 300 all of a sudden. Up to 300, which was so high. And at that moment, before this happened, I had so much stress for that week. I had so much stress. I was preparing to go to Africa because I planned to shoot a music video in Africa. I've booked a ticket. I'm planning to go to Spain. After I come back to Spain, from Spain, I would then go to Africa. Also with my work, with the music, with the promotion, with the awards and everything, it was too much of a material thing. Yeah, and this affected my body system, that this breaks. And right now, some people have been wondering why I'm not making any music anymore. Now I'm having a very big break with music. All the things that makes stress, I try to stay away and do away with them. I try to.
And I think that's how everyone should live. You want to make sure that you're not in a stressful position, and that you are taking care of you. And if there are situations in your life where things aren't ideal, or you're being pushed and messed with and stuff like that, then you need to try and move along if and when it's possible, for your own mental health, your own sanity.
Away and do away with them. I try to live normal, try to relax. Apart from my job, if I come home, I relax. I try to sleep in the afternoon if I'm at home. Yeah, because stress is one of the highest killer. Yeah, stress. And if you're accumulating stress, you might not even know it, and you cannot even guess how much your body can carry. It will just all of a sudden strike. Yeah. So people should avoid stress. And doctors, according to doctors, they say that many people have this aneurism without knowing it. This is the most dangerous thing. All of a sudden it breaks, you are dead. Before they bring you to the hospital, you are dead. Most of the people I told my story, they always tell me, oh, I know someone that the same thing you had happened to him and he died. Many people have told me they know a relation or a friend that had the same aneurism and the person didn't survive it. So it's a very big miracle that I survived it. And I thank God, and I promise God that from today on, that I will always be speaking to different people about him. Maybe it's one of the things he wants me to do. That's why if you watch my Facebook updates, I'm always talking about God, try to make people to reason very well. Yeah. I stopped posting my music because these are much of the material things. Everything will end on this world. And God will hold you accountable for everything you have done. Most of my fellow musicians who sing about songs that people listen to and get corrupt, they should not forget that they will answer the question. They are responsible for that. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's an incredible truth bomb right there, that people need to be responsible for the music that they're listening to. Truer words couldn't be spoken, because you continue to feed it, and you're also getting subconsciously inundated with who knows what the message is. And it maybe sometimes it's okay, and other times it's not. But, you know, the Matrix has its own agenda, and it puts it in music. It also puts truth in music. So that's another thing. It's still, I think, important to enjoy music. I do too. It's kind of like my lifeline here. It's always something I can go to and enjoy. But I've also realized some music that I used to listen to is very parasitic, and usually chopped full with tons of subliminal messaging. And then just the fact that they change things from 432 hertz to 440, and that kind of throws off the equilibrium of the body. That says it all too. I mean, you have a perfect alignment at 432 hertz with your body and grounding in the earth, so to say. But once they went to 440, they throw everyone out of whack. And it hasn't changed for many, many, many decades. It's been like that forever.
We hold you accountable for everything you have done. Most of my fellow musicians who sing about songs that people listen to and get corrupt, they should not forget that they will answer the question. They are responsible for that.
Yeah.
If you want to sing a song that will turn people from negative to positive, because God, you'll be held accountable for everything you have done on earth. Yeah. So before, when I was Coleman,
You'll be held for everything you did on earth. You're going to be accountable for everything. And it's always with the God word. Well, where is God when all this crap is going on here? Yet everything's about love still. Everything's about, worship and bowing down to God and doing as you're told. But God forbid we question it. Pun intended.
When I was Coleman, I used to sing songs that have meaning, that has senses. But now I even still find out that I was not doing enough. Now I said to myself, if I want to come back to music again, because which is a talent from God, I want to channel it to God. I want to sing gospel. Yeah. If I will stand in the future to make music again, I just want to do gospel. To just, not for the benefit of it, but just to praise God. Because everything we see on earth, in the morning you see the birds singing, the sun is shining. You see that the birds are even communicating with the sun because they see the sun and they are happy. And the trees are waving from the breeze. All these things are praising God, but we don't see that. Yeah. So why not we, that God created with His own image and likeness? Why do we refuse to praise God? Yeah. So that's why God, He created us to know Him, to love Him, to praise Him, and to serve Him. And at the end, we will all die on this earth. And then He made heaven that we come back to Him and join Him again. Yeah. But the devil doesn't want that. The devil is there to steal and destroy. And what the devil wants to steal from you is your soul, which belongs to you. So if you allow the devil to steal your soul, he will steal it. Because where he is not pretty. In hell, where he is not pretty. And he wants to gather as much as possible there. Yeah? But God created heaven for everything He created. All the humans and all the creatures, God made heaven for us. It's just for our choice to choose where we want to go. Because we have the free will to choose to live a good life or to live a dark life. Okay. So,
well, there you go. I mean, I think that is certainly, you opened up the horizons, I think. And with your experiences, certainly too. It's obviously very clear, and there's certainly a message in what you say. That's obvious to me, and I'm sure to other people too. It's been a pleasure to hear your experience, and fascinating, and absolutely. Words lose me when I can't really describe, and can't even begin to imagine, the experiences. But
I'm so grateful for today because I've been waiting for it. It's one of the things I promised God, to share my story so that people can learn. Because the foolish doesn't learn from his neighbors. They wait until it happens to them. But the wise man learns from what happens around him. So I want people to learn from what happened to me and what happens around them. Not to wait till it happens to them, because not everyone that will have the chance to come back again
gets a second chance.
Yeah, not every.
Oh, I disagree with that. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I think the whole purpose of everything here is to make sure that you come back. And yeah, you might get some quote unquote time to do what you want to do in the astral, but and kind of get a little vacation. But then you go through the whole indoctrination thing again with the soul classes, the soul group, the quote unquote ascended masters or God or the council of elders. And then what they do is they manipulate you back into coming down here as if you have some grand purpose to fulfill. It's all smoke and mirrors on a massive deception being run on everybody. And the whole point is to say bye-bye to all of that. I'm done. I'm not consenting. I'm not conforming. I'm not giving you any attention whatsoever, and I'm going my own way.
Not to wait till it happens to them, because not everyone that will have the chance to come back again
Get a second chance.
Yeah, not everyone that can get a second chance. But the wise man listens to what happened to his neighbors and learn from it. I want people to learn. And another thing is that I noticed that there's a special grace that follows families. Because when I was in this, in front of heaven, everybody, first thing they always ask me, how is your wife? Where is your wife? Where is your children? You have to go back and take care of them. So I feel like as a married man, as a father, I have much grace from God as being protected, because God looks on how my children will be sad if because they are so small, how they will feel sad if their dad is gone. And God look on their hearts and give me the chance to come back again. And I'm advising everybody that lives in a relationship who is not yet blessed with marriage, because marriage is like going to the court, get married in the armed, but marrying in the church in a Christian way is like blessing the marriage. You are more protected if you are a mother. You are more protected if you are a father, because family is something holy for God, and God takes extra care of families, and He listens to the prayer of the family, because even the Bible said that the family that prays together stays together. This has even more deeper meaning than how it's been said, and this is what I noticed from my experience. When I was in coma, everybody was praying for me. Even my children was praying. My brothers and sisters, they were praying. My friends were praying. So I was so much protected from my journey that I went and I had the chance to come back again. So this is one of the things. And another thing is to be able to forgive. It's very important. And to love and try to make nice experiences while you are still alive. Don't try to put pressure on material things, because these things are vanities. Yeah? What you take away from here after living on this earth is the love you share and the love you experience from your friends, from your families, from your wife, from your children, and the happiness, that moment you were happy. This is the only thing you can take with you. The nice experiences you had on earth, this is the only thing you can take with you. But not your houses, not your cars, not your money. Even the world will still be doing fine without you. Yeah? The world will still be, the sun will still be shining if we're not here anymore. So when we go, we don't go with our clothes, we don't go with our shoes and everything. We just go with the nice experiences and the love we have. And nothing can break love, not even death. Love is a bound that guides the dead and the living. And I think God is love, because He created the world out of love. Everything exists around love. Yeah, and when you show love to your fellow human being is when you are making the act of God, because God is love Himself. Thank you.
Thank you.
And here we go again with the whole God is love thing. I mean, come on. I mean, when someone has an experience like this, it's so powerful. So the part of me understands how someone can feel that way, because they've had a very unique experience, have gone through a lot, usually very traumatic, especially if they've had an NDE or something like a coma, whatever the case may be. It really can take someone over and distort their critical thinking abilities. And that's the sad part. But, I thank every day that I have never had an NDE, because that's the last thing I'd want. You want to be able to stand up for yourself and be able to question this reality and not have it distorted, and really come in at the center and say, okay, let me see both sides. I'm going to explore everything with the love and light. I'm going to explore everything with the negative. I'm going to explore everything with all these different other types of experiencer cases, and with what is present in front of our very eyes on a day-to-day basis. And if you can come away and say that everything is love, it just doesn't fit. It doesn't make any sense, because it's clearly not what's represented here. Clearly. I mean, you have to also remember that people kill in the name of love. They hurt and injure others in the name of love. So yeah, as great as love is, and it is the best trait that humanity has embedded within them, people can do a lot of really nasty things in the name of love. Love of country, love of girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, family. I mean, you can go on and on and on. And it exists where someone is so in love or so protective and protective of somebody that they would kill in the name to protect them, their loved ones. So I think there's a little bit more to go. Not much, maybe like a minute or two.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's a nice day.
Yes. Obviously, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, you can. I think we can contact
if you have a questions, you can on the screen.
I mean, a very enlightening experience, and I think the camera's gonna. Yeah.
Okay, so that, yeah, I was hoping that wouldn't happen, but it did. All right, so thank you to Benny Hinn for the music today. Just as a reminder, this channel is for educational purposes only. I hope you've been enjoying it. And before we close things out for the night, or the weekend, I'd like to just remind you that there is 2 YouTube backup channels just in case something should ever occur here. And that kind of goes for the next list of platforms I'll mention. I have an email list. It would be great if you could sign up for it. To date, as I mentioned earlier in the stream, I haven't sent out any emails yet. I'm not the type of person who's going to spam you, and I will never, ever, ever sell your information. So if you'd like to stay up to date with the channel, get some information about the upcoming website, you could sign up for the email list. And then I have Twitch account where occasionally I multi-stream the YouTube channel over to Twitch. But I also play some video games over there, and I play games that are specifically related to truth in gaming and how they usually soul trap stuff, or at least where it exposes this reality for what it is. So feel free to join me there. There is, just to let everyone know who has been following the Alan Wake series, I will be playing the episode 5 soon, probably tomorrow or Tuesday. I'm sorry, not episode 8. It's the final bonus episode, so they'll be wrapping up that soon this week. And there's also a Twitter and an Instagram account for the channel. Feel free to follow me over there. I do send out notifications usually about an hour before the stream would start, sometimes a day or so if there's something scheduled in advance and I know I'm going to be able to make it. And also, if you're interested in joining YouTube memberships and supporting the channel, I'd greatly appreciate it, but it's obviously never expected either. And you want some extra content each month, we have for levels 2 and higher a monthly members live stream. There's a backlog of all the member streams included with that for the past year. I think we're going on our 13th month, and there's a lot of deep dives there, and I guarantee at least one monthly members live stream every month. It's usually the last Sunday of every month, so this November, same thing. I think it's the 27th we'll be meeting, which is Sunday, and that's scheduled for 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at the moment. And it also gives you access to the Last Timers members Discord server, which is for research and chatting, and then voice chat. Sometimes we also have some group chats together as well, and also provides you early access to some videos that I put out that are usually once a week. I'll throw something up there. So feel free to check that out. And if you are interested in supporting the channel in another way, I have a Stripe account, which is similar to PayPal, and a Stream Elements account. All these things can be found in the description tab, and then a few of them are also in the pinned comment of the stream today as well. And I think that is going to wrap things up. It's been a lot of fun. What I'm going to do is get to questions next. And I'm going to play a little bit of music too in the background while I get to these. So just bear with me while I get the questions, and I will be with you shortly. Just got to lower the volume here. Okay, so let me hop in where the questions are and see what we got. Okay, so what we got? I'd like to welcome GV. GV upgraded their membership to the one-on-one. Welcome, and thank you so much for your very kind and generous support, my friend. You can get in touch with me in the About tab to schedule your one-on-one discussion. And I would suggest using desktop view for that. Or if you're using a PC, just go to the About tab in whatever browser you're using, and you'll see the contact information there. Thank you so much. True Detective Season 1 says, I do believe we are powerful creator beings, but where did this idea come from that we are powerful creator beings? Well, okay, so as far as where it came from, it's, for me personally, I verified it through my experiences, but it's also verified through other people's experiences too. That, for instance, if you have a, what am I trying to say here? Kind of mixing things up. Okay, so if you are able to get out of body at some point, or at least experience what it's like to go out of body, then you can have you can experience things like, so say you have a nasty entity appear. Kind of mixing up my words here, I apologize. So say you come across like a nasty entity. It's gross and vile, and you don't want anything to do with it. You can shut it down immediately, as with your creator being abilities. So you can banish it completely out of your existence, or you can turn it into something like a puppy or a kitty or something, you know, where it's and it shows you your power. It also kind of shows, in my opinion, that a lot of this stuff that we run into is BS. That it's a joke. It's probably part of this AI system. Now, where the real entities start and where they end is a whole nother conversation, because we really don't know that. But the point is if you don't want to deal with something or be involved with something, you can banish it, you can change it, you can remove yourself from the situation, you can shield yourself, you can essentially teleport to another realm. But the key thing is that we want to be teleporting to our own realms that are incapable of being infiltrated by any sort of outside forces. So there's a lot of evidence to support that we have these powers. Now, take that into consideration. Just because we have those powers doesn't mean that we can't be manipulated. All right? Because I think everything works on intention and consent. All right? And what can occur is that we'll be, let's just say we're roaming around the multiverse, right? And in other realms, or there are kind of other things interacting with realms that we may be visiting, and they're appealing or interesting, or we have questions or have curiosity. It's like, okay, well, we've been roaming around these other realms. What the heck is this thing all about? And then maybe we get some sort of, for lack of a better word, like an information packet about some other realms that are in the multiverse. And so we go and check them out. But what we don't realize is that there could be manipulation there. Now, I think that's where we fall short. It doesn't mean that just because we're powerful that we can't be manipulated, that we can't be hoodwinked and taken for a ride. And that's why I think the only solution is, at the time of natural death, is that we take care of ourselves. We create our own void-like realm that is, it's baked into the cake, so to say, that nothing could infiltrate it. So it's of our own making, our own creation, so to say, and that nothing can get through it. And what we do is we test out our abilities. We see, hey, how far can you go? And, what are the positives? What are the negatives? How can I use my powers to my advantage to make sure I'm not messed with again? And what are the exploits out there that can mess with me or try to get me into some realm that requires stealing part of my essence in order to join it? I'm pretty fairly convinced that, when we come here, we do get an idea as to what happens here, but because we have no frame of reference for what the human body is and the experience, that we don't know what suffering is. We don't know what pain is. I mean, maybe we do, but who knows, right? But I would say that, we come here kind of ignorant, and part of the deal is like, hey, you're this powerful creative being, but what we're going to do is yank your essence from you, and you've got to find it again. I mean, that could maybe be appealing to eternal beings out there, right? It sounds like something that we could easily be fall for. But also want to add that, going forward, I think it's not to say that we're going to be stuck in these void-like realms for the rest of our existence and never interact with anything. It's just that we need to rediscover ourselves and see how far things go or where these weaknesses lay, so that we're not going to fall victim to this again. And if we go and, let's just say, theoretically knock on a door of another realm out there, and part of the requirements of entering that realm is that they get to take even 0.00001% of your essence as your creator being abilities in exchange for having that experience in that realm, well, the answer has to be no. We have to shut it down and say, no way. And there's no doubt in my mind that there are other realms out there. There's realms that are made from peaceful, loving, caring, compassionate, empathetic beings. And then there are parasites. I don't think these things don't exist out there, because we're clearly in one here now. So how do we get here? How did this all happen? What psychopath even cooked it up in their mind and decided to create some system that can kind of run on autopilot and allow this to happen? So I think the key thing is to really understand that we need to rediscover our creator being abilities. and know just how far we can take it and where the exploits lie. So I hope that helps a little bit. But if anyone needs confirmation that they are a creator being and can do amazing things, then the suggestion I would give is to learn astral projection, out of body experiences, that type of thing, and test it out for yourself. Even heightened states of meditation help too. So I've had amazing experiences with heightened meditative states, and you can get there. Some people it takes longer than others, and for me it took quite a while, especially even with astral projection and lucid dreaming, that type of thing, and even with meditation. But meditation came sooner. Like it was something I could get into, not regularly but often enough that I was able to prove certain things to myself, and that, like, wow, like we are way more powerful than we give ourselves credit for. So hang in there, but definitely don't doubt yourself, because you deserve it. I want to welcome Sugar Seas, and thank you so much for extending your membership, my friend. I appreciate you. Let's see. Bubbles said, watched an interesting NDE yesterday. He was given a tour of the different, quote, building, they called it, unquote. It featured life script reviews. Okay. Bubbles, if you're still around, I'd be interested in hearing the title of that NDE. I know that was a while ago, so I'm not sure if you're still around. Okay, let me see. I think there was one more question. Astronaut. Let me try and find it. It says, where are you? Okay, Sydney. Okay, let me pop this up here. I don't see. Maybe I'm missing it. Hold on. Well, Eternal Chiron's wrong. He's wrong. No. Nope. He's totally wrong. I love his stuff, but he's wrong. I don't want to hear about gates or holes in the matrix or stuff like that. I'm so done with that, and that seems like the last ditch effort of the Matrix to trap us. So if that's what he wants to believe, that's fine. I mean, I respect the guy. I love his work, but that's concerning to say the least, because if he's wrong, and we could be wrong too, but if we're wrong, at least we tried, right? At least we went through. I mean, I still like to say, like, my intention is unrelenting. It is the way it is. Just the fact that we can prove to ourselves through out-of-body experiences or enhanced meditative states that, or even breakthrough trips, that we have the ability to get ourselves out of a situation and completely change the scenario, says it all. That shows how powerful our intention is. So for him to kind of imply the whole gate thing, I mean, that's just, it's ridiculous. But I'm also not going to put the guy down, because he's done a lot of great work, and there's a lot of good stuff there, but what can you do, right? I mean, maybe I'll even do a response video to it, but I have to go and listen to it too. Antonio said, SC, answer my question. Okay, I'm gonna try and find it. Antonio, can you pop it up in the chat, because I may be missing it. Okay, why haven't you responded to my email? Okay, oh, you're asking why I haven't responded. Okay, let me just say this, Antonio. I get loads of emails, and I've also realized that Some of them are going to spam. So anyone else who's emailed me, I apologize. Sometimes it takes me a while. Like balancing. Let me pop up the camera because I really want to just say this so you can see me. I just want to say, like, it's very difficult for me to balance the channel and my personal life, because you open up accounts and all this other stuff, and you have the email and stuff active, and I get emails and comments and messages on all these different platforms all the time. So like if I don't respond to you, I apologize. It's nothing personal. It's just very difficult for me to keep up with it, but I try to get back to everyone in time, but it could be a few weeks, few months, and even then I may miss some. So I apologize in advance to anyone out there. It's just I'd really have no life if I was responding to loads of emails, but I don't want anyone to take it personal. It just kind of like comes with the territory. Back when the channel had like a couple thousand subscribers or something, I was able to respond to comments all the time or emails, but it's just it gets very difficult, and it really is nothing personal. It's just it's very hard for me to do it all. So I do try to sift through as many as I can and respond to ones that are quick and stuff like that. But I apologize if I missed it. I will try and look for your email, Antonio. If you can pop up I don't know if you had any other specific question that I can answer you here today, but feel free to pop it up in the chat. And does your email include your name, Antonio? Like if I search for it and try and find it, maybe I'll be able to address it tonight. So yeah, I don't want anyone to think I'm ignoring them or something. It's just very difficult, especially even with having Lyme disease and stuff, and dyslexia. Sometimes it gets really difficult. I'm working on trying to find something where I can just do speak my my responses too, so it's just easier. If they're quick emails, I try to do them as quickly as possible and get back to you guys, but nothing personal. And the whole thing with the spam, I was just looking through the spam the other day, and there was a bunch of people who emailed me, and their emails went to spam, and it's just not something I check that often, but I did the other day because there was a few that left comments saying they didn't get them, or they didn't hear back from me. So I apologize, Antonio, and anyone else out there. But yeah, if you pop up your question now, I'll try to okay, must hear what I've gone through. It's unlike anything anyone has experienced, sober, alive, and conscious. Okay, all right. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if we've gone over it before. I am. I don't. It's just it gets difficult to respond after a while. But I will. Let me just check my email right now, really quickly. I'm just gonna. Well, at least I'm gonna try and find you if you pop right up. Okay, Antonio, I did find your emails here. Okay, yeah, I see you sent one. Okay, you sent a few. Okay, I do have them. I will put them aside and try to get back to you this week. So I apologize for it taking so long, my friend. Okay. All right, so I'm going to get back to the questions and see here. Okay. Seth, welcome to the Last Timers Club. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your support. There is a members playlist, by the way. You can find that on the home section of the channel. And then there's also a members community tab as well. Joshua asks, Mark, has there been any NDEs you've covered by Buddhists or believers in Hinduism? I believe I went over a Buddhist. There isn't many. I think there's maybe one or two. The problem is the language barrier. There are a bunch. I'd suggest if you go to NDERF or if you go to IAN's website and search those key terms, you can find ones that are written up. The problem is I try to find videos to give you guys the visual aspect of hearing someone, looking at someone. A lot of the Eastern accounts are in different languages, so it becomes very difficult to cover those because you kind of got to have someone work on a voiceover for them. And I looked into services to pay for that, and it's kind of ridiculous what they charge. But so I try to do things in English when I can, and occasionally, like today with Michael, for instance, getting his account. It's kind of rare. You don't really get many of them who are able to explain their experience in English. So yeah, there may be I think one or two out there. I just don't remember. Sydney asks, where do our pets go? Yes, what's with our pets? Are they NPCs? Well, I think, okay, I'm going to be perfectly honest about this one. For instance, I think I have had in my life dogs that I felt were NPCs, and then there are others that I do not by any means think they're NPCs. Now, does that mean they even that NPCs even exist with dogs? I don't know. I mean, I'd like to think not, because I love dogs. I love pets in general and animals. I mean, but there were two that I had that I was convinced, especially looking back, that were like NPC-ish dogs. And then there were two others that, no way. There's no way. There were real spirit essence beings inside their vessel. And where do they go after? Well, I think they kind of fall back into the Matrix, most likely, unless they are picking up on something and realize it while they're here. I mean, even with, I think the problem is if you're a dog or a cat or some other animal, that's part of what you agreed to incarnate as when you came here, and limitations come with that, and that involves communication and perception and stuff like that. But we say that, and in the same breath you can say, well, maybe they I mean, dogs have amazing other senses, right? Like they're able to, like, for instance, there was a study that I read where not all dogs, but a fair amount of dogs, there's something telepathic that they connect to. So for instance, they did this study where they put cameras in random pet dog owners specifically, their homes, and were testing out this theory that maybe dogs would be able to identify when their owners, hate using that word, or parents, so to say, were coming home. And usually I think it was about the 10-minute mark that they could be a couple miles away, we could be a couple miles away, and they set up these cameras, and the dogs, they'd be chilling, resting on the couch, doing their own thing. And then once that window comes, it's like, boom, suddenly they know that, we're coming home, and they park their ass by the door, they get all excited, they wag their tail, or whatever the case may be, and know that you're coming home. I mean, that was fascinating. So it really showed me that, you know, it goes way beyond. Now, how many dogs experience that and things like that, I don't know. But it's interesting to say. I mean, I think, you know, the pet thing is difficult. It's very, very difficult. It's something that really bothers me. And I talk to my dog regularly. I do. I mean, call me crazy, but I talk to my dog and I say, don't go to the light. You know, I love you. Don't go to the light. I'm never going to be there when you cross over. You know, I tell her these things, you know, she understanding. I don't know, but at least I'm trying, right? I don't want to see a pet that I care greatly about have to go through this crap. I mean, it kills me inside. But, you know, the best I can do is say something, right? And hope that it connects. Like sometimes I'll even kind of put this telepathic energy connection, at least in my head, I'm doing it, right? And put it, you know, put my hand on her head and verbalize it and telepathically, you know, transmit it or think it to my dog in hopes that she understands what I'm saying. But it seems like from my perspective that they kind of agreed to have the incarnation that they did. And I can go a step further and say that I think when we come here, that it's kind of like we experience different life forms before we kind of reach the human experience. Now, is this definitely true? I don't know, but something in my gut tells me that we kind of all come here and initially, you know, you might start your life off as a tree or a leaf on a tree or a blade of grass or who knows what, right? And then you'll work your way up and maybe you'll be a worm or a fish or a fox or a cat or a bird, you know, and a snake, all these different things, right? And you kind of experience Earth from a different perspective, from a different species, and the perception is different with each one that you incarnate in. And then eventually you kind of work your way up to being human. That's kind of my guess. And there's even some old spiritual texts that suggest that's what happens. I'm not saying it is true or not because I have no clue, but you know, it maybe what our pets are going through is kind of the early phases before they reach and are able to be a human. But again, just all theory. I don't know. But yeah, the whole thing with the pets kill me. Absolutely kill me. Okay. Sydney says, question, maybe Monroe had to put the wall into the book in order to publish the book. Yeah, that's something I thought too. You may be right on that, Sydney. You may be right on that. What is the metal wall he could not pass in the Monroe book? I don't know, but it could be just it could just be the barrier. I mean, I know a lot of people who have OBEs or astral project. They can only go so far sometimes before they feel like if they went any further that they'd die back on Earth. And there's like some sort of crazy connection there that kind of inundates the person who's going through that experience. If that's exactly what he's talking about there, I don't know, but it's just a guess. CK says, asks, there are also people who intentionally access other realities as well and live new lives there. What do you think about that? I don't really know. I mean, I'm not saying it's not possible. I just, I really don't even know. I really don't know what to say. I've seen some of what you're talking about, and it seems to be something that appears more with the younger generations today, like shifting realities or what have you, and I think a lot of it is. I don't know, you could call it modern day lucid dreaming, modern day astral projection. And then there's another one I'm trying to think of to say here. What is it? Oh, okay. Yeah, this is something I talked about before too, where, you know, in the society that we live in today, everything is with the screen. And so if you're a child or a teen growing up in this scenario, that you really don't have the opportunity to use your imagination as much as we did as children, at least those who are kind of a little older. That's something that's really kind of stuck out in my head. Like, I feel children and teens and young adults have been robbed of that, and being able to use their imagination and even maybe potentially involve themselves with something like an alternative reality, or interacting with entities like the Fae or what have you. And I think many children's innocence have been stolen because of the internet and the phone and the tablet and the computer, and how everything's kind of ingrained into society. But that's kind of just my opinion. You know, I have my doubts, because I don't necessarily think that it doesn't exist, but I think on the scale that we're seeing it in today's world, CK is a little bit much. It seems like a lot. Okay, so just so you know, we're gonna close out the questions for now. It's been going for a while, and yeah, gonna probably have to call it a night. It's been a lot of fun. I can't believe I'm going almost 4 hours tonight, but okay. All right, my friends. I appreciate each and every one of you. Take care of yourselves. Don't work too hard this coming week, and we will see each other again next weekend. I may do a midweek show. I've got some extra time this coming week. I may do something Wednesday or Thursday, so keep an eye on notifications. And again, if you're interested in joining the Last Timers Club memberships, feel free. Levels 2 and higher get monthly members live streams and access to the backlog of all the other previous deep dive streams, an invite into the Last Timers Discord chat and research server. Sometimes we have movie nights, TV nights, and group chats. And yeah, so that's about it. I appreciate each and every one of you. Again, any support is always appreciated, but never expected. Take care of yourselves, and don't forget, you are a sovereign, true essence being, and you got this. Believe in yourself. Don't ever stop believing in yourself, because that's exactly what the system wants. It wants you to think that you don't hold the power, and that some illusion, some deception holds power over you. And remember, if anyone needs to be answering questions, it's them. But even us, we should not be asking those questions. That's, you know, the whole realm has to break down for that to happen. And just a few of us out there are not going to take it down. I hate to say it. You know, at the beginning, I thought maybe we could take this thing down. You know, maybe we could kind of put an end to all this BS, but I'm sorry, I just don't see it possible. And all I see is risk with that type of thinking. And I've been meaning to do an independent video on that alone. But the key thing is to always remember that you hold all the power, you hold all the cards, and you're going to win. You're going to take care of yourself in the right way and liberate yourselves. So just remember, they got nothing on you. All right, my friends, have a good week ahead. I appreciate each and every one of you. And we'll see each other again real soon. Thanks so much.